Chapter 5104. Lu Ming's words made the killing intent in Lan Yuchen's eyes grow even stronger. He sneered, "Is that so? I've decided. I'll make you cry and beg me later." While the two were talking, the two stone platforms collided and quickly fused together. Swish. When the stone platforms fused together, Lan Yuchen moved. The river-like ribbon around his body instantly expanded, turning into a vast river that surged towards Lu Ming. Wherever it passed, the void seemed to freeze and emitted a terrifying chill. Lu Ming grabbed the air, and the battle god's spear appeared and stabbed out. The spear was dazzling, and the tip of the spear seemed to emit a dazzling light as if there was a sun. The spear collided with the river, and a violent explosion erupted. The river was then sent flying back to Lan Yuchen. However, Lan Yuchen had expected this. Although he had said that he looked down on Lu Ming, he didn't underestimate him in the slightest. He knew very well that no one who could break through 5 times of the extreme grade was weak. Therefore, when the river was sent flying back, Lan Yuchen charged towards Lu Ming like a bolt of lightning. With a palm strike, dozens of rivers appeared in the sky and rushed towards Lu Ming. Genesis Technique. After a brief test, Lan Yuchen raised his battle prowess to the peak and used his Genesis Technique. Only when he used his Genesis Technique could he display the true battle prowess of someone who had broken through 5 times of the extreme grade. Boom! Lu Ming's aura surged, and his body rapidly swelled to a height of 3 feet. Lu Ming also instantly used his Genesis Technique. Since they were both at the 5th stage of the extreme grade, there was no room for concealment. He had to go all out. Buzz! The battle god's spear vibrated, and rays of divine light surrounded the spear. As the battle god's spear stabbed out, rays of dazzling spear light erupted and pierced into the rivers. The two continued to collide. The clash of peak powers caused violent energy to wreak havoc in all directions. Kill! Lu Ming roared, and his 3-foot-tall body broke through the obstruction of the rivers and charged towards Lan Yuchen. Styx River Sword. The river around Lan Yuchen turned into a sword and slashed at Lu Ming. This river wasn't a real river, but a top-notch source-grade weapon. Clang! Lu Ming brandished his spear, and the two collided, causing a heaven-shaking explosion. The sword buzzed violently and vibrated violently before flying back. Lan Yuchen's expression changed drastically as he retreated. Lu Ming had the upper hand. How could he miss such a good opportunity? He launched a flurry of attacks. What? The surrounding spectators were all shocked. The people from the Nether River Great Cosmos exclaimed, "How can Lu Ming be so strong? What terrifying combat strength! He actually gained the upper hand so quickly." I know. Lu Ming is a creature of this universe, so he won't be suppressed by this universe. Lan Yuchen, on the other hand, will be suppressed by the primitive universe after entering it. That's why he's also a quintuple extreme break, but his combat power is not as good as Lu Ming's. That should be it. Many people nodded. However, only Lan Yuchen himself knew that this was only one of the reasons. The main reason was that Lu Ming's combat strength was too terrifying. He felt that Lu Ming's casual moves seemed to have thousands of variations and different offensive powers. The same move could produce different types of offensive powers, such as hot and cold, sharp and heavy, which made it very difficult for him to parry. He tried his best and pushed his combat strength to the peak, but it was still useless. He couldn't block it. After dozens of moves, he spat out a mouthful of blood, and his face turned pale. Lu Ming's eyes flashed. The more he fought, the more confident he became. He realized that he had underestimated himself. To be more precise, he had underestimated the Genesis techniques that he had comprehended. When he had broken through the 4th extreme break, he could barely beat Shi Tianting. He originally thought that he was only slightly stronger than others after breaking through the 5th extreme break. However, he realized that he could completely suppress Lan Yuchen. Lan Yuchen's Genesis techniques were too powerful. After all, he had comprehended them using the 3,000 ancient secret techniques and a large number of demonic techniques. All the secret techniques and demonic techniques had merged into one and reached the pinnacle. Their power was so shocking that it exceeded Lu Ming's expectations. Although he had fought against Origin Realm experts before, This was his first time fighting against someone who had broken through the fifth extreme break. After all, the origin realm was much higher than him, so it was difficult to measure his own battle strength. Only by fighting against someone of the same level could he better measure his own battle strength. Is that all you've got? How disappointing. Didn't you say you would make me cry on my knees? Lu Ming said as he attacked. Lan Yuchen felt his face burn. Before the battle, he was very confident that he could suppress Lu Ming and make Lu Ming cry on his knees. However, as soon as the battle began, he was suppressed and at a disadvantage. The contrast was just too great. It was really embarrassing. He knew very well that he was indeed suppressed in the desolate universe, but even without this suppression, he was still no match for Lu Ming. He would only be able to last a little longer at most. He was unwilling to accept this. He roared and stimulated his potential, raising his battle strength to an unprecedented level as he fought with all his strength. However, it was useless. Lu Ming's attacks were like a madman, forcing him to retreat again and again. Bang! After a few moves, Lu Ming broke through Lan Yuchen's defenses and the war god's spear struck his body. Even with the protection of his armor, Lan Yuchen's body almost exploded. He coughed up large mouthfuls of blood as he frantically retreated in an attempt to avoid Lu Ming's attacks. He then adjusted himself and began to fight with Lu Ming while looking for an opportunity to counterattack. He was unwilling to admit defeat so easily. Swish! A river appeared under his feet, causing his speed to skyrocket. He constantly flickered on the stone platform and actually managed to avoid most of Lu Ming's attacks. You want to compete in speed with me? Lu Ming's lips curled into a sneer. A pair of wings appeared on his back. With a flap of his wings, Lu Ming's speed skyrocketed and he caught up with Lan Yuchen in an instant. The war god's spear smashed down like a mountain. Bang! Lan Yuchen had not expected Lu Ming to be so fast and catch up with him in an instant. He was stunned for a moment and did not have time to block the attack. The spear smashed into his head. Even with the protection of his top-notch armor, Lan Yuchen could not withstand it. His head almost exploded as he fell to the ground with a loud thud. Lu Ming fell rapidly as the war god's spear smashed into Lan Yuchen's body once again. Crackle! Lan Yuchen's bones cracked like beans being fried. Finally, he collapsed to the ground, unable to move. Not good. Lu Ming, let's talk things out. Don't kill him. Outside the stone platform, many experts of the Nether River Great Cosmos shouted. Lan Yuchen had suffered a crushing defeat. In his current state, he could not even escape. They were really afraid that Lu Ming would kill Lan Yuchen. Lu Ming, kill him. Our Yang realm and the underworld will not rest until one of us is dead. There is no need to hesitate. An elder of the Sacred Light Great Cosmos shouted. Chapter 5105. An old man from the Sacred Light Great Cosmos shouted, telling Lu Ming to kill Lan Yuchen. The people from the Nether River Great Cosmos turned pale. The Yang realm and the underworld had been hostile forces since ancient times. They had never stopped fighting and attacking each other. Once the two sides met, they would not rest until one of them was dead. Once they fell into the other side's hands, they would definitely not have a good ending. Moreover, a genius like Lan Yuchen had great potential. Once he grew up, he would be an overlord and a great threat to the Yang realm. If there was a chance to get rid of him, they would definitely not let it go. However, Lu Ming had no intention of killing Lan Yuchen. He had never left the primitive universe and did not have a sense of belonging to the Yang realm. To put it bluntly, whether it was the Yang realm or the underworld, Lu Ming felt that they were all the same. They were all from the outerverse and had come to plunder the primitive universe's treasures. Moreover, it was said that the primitive universe had been destroyed by the underworld's powerhouses. Why hadn't the Yang realm's powerhouses come to rescue them? Moreover, Lu Ming and the 8 families of the Forbidden Area were already mortal enemies. They would not rest until one of them was dead. The strength of the 8 families of the Forbidden Area was already terrifying enough. There was no need for him to offend the even more terrifying Nether River Great Cosmos. If he killed Lan Yuchen, the Nether River Great Cosmos would definitely not let him off. Therefore, Lu Ming made a decision after pondering for a while. You can leave. Lu Ming waved his hand, and Lan Yuchen flew out. Lan Yuchen looked as if he had just survived a disaster. He was very surprised. Originally, he had thought that he would definitely die if he fell into Lu Ming's hands. After all, he had been so arrogant before the battle, saying that he would make Lu Ming kneel and cry. Moreover, the two of them belonged to the Yang realm and the Yang realm respectively. He had thought that he would definitely die. He was lamenting that the heavens were jealous of geniuses. A genius like him was going to die here before he could shine. He had never thought that Lu Ming would actually let him off. He hurriedly circulated his remaining energy and flew out of the stone platform. "Thank you. I will remember this kindness." Lan Yuchen cupped his fists. "Young master, are you all right?" The people of the Nether River Great Cosmos surrounded him. "I'm fine. Let's go back. I need to adjust my condition and prepare for my breakthrough." Lan Yuchen said. Although Lu Ming had let him off this time, he had still lost a lot of face. He didn't have the face to continue staying here. He wanted to go back as soon as possible to adjust his condition and prepare for his breakthrough. Even though he had stopped here, he had still been tempered 4 times, so there was still a chance for him to succeed. "Umph." The elder from the great cosmos of sacred light snorted with displeasure. The 4 winners were Lu Ming, Divine Wuxia, Atavistic Immortal Bone, and Su Feng, who was also from the Yang realm. "Interesting." The Atavistic Immortal Bone looked at Lu Ming with a cold gaze that was filled with battle intent. Divine Peerless merely glanced coldly at Lu Ming. As for Su Feng, he looked at Lu Ming with great fear. The 4 of them stood in 4 different directions and faced each other from a distance. Then, they drew on the energy of the stone platforms to undergo the 5th round of tempering. There was no doubt that the energy this time was denser and purer. After this round of tempering, Lu Ming discovered that his physical body and soul had become stronger. Buzz. When they were done, the 2 stone platforms began to move. They began to move upward. One of them was Lu Ming, while the other was Su Feng from the Yang realm. Su Feng had an ugly expression on his face. He wasn't confident about going up against Lu Ming. Among the 3 of them, Su Feng didn't want to go up against the Atavistic Immortal Bone the most, followed by Lu Ming. "Brother Lu, let's exchange some pointers. Please go easy on me." Su Feng cupped his fists and appeared very polite. He didn't act all high and mighty. Of course, this was all because of his strength. If Lu Ming wasn't strong enough, Su Feng might not have had such an attitude. "You're welcome." Lu Ming cupped his fists in return. Soon, the 2 stone platforms fused together. The moment they fused, Su Feng moved. The blade light seemed to be able to split the heavens and earth as it charged towards Lu Ming. Su Feng's combat strength was extremely strong. He wasn't any weaker than Lan Yuchen. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to defeat geniuses of the same level and come this far. Unfortunately, he met Lu Ming. Once Lu Ming used his Genesis techniques, his attacks were extremely violent and completely suppressed Su Feng. Su Feng's performance wasn't any better than Lan Yuchen's. After a dozen moves, Su Feng quickly retreated and shouted, "Stop, I admit defeat." Su Feng had tried all kinds of methods in these dozen moves, but he realized that he couldn't defeat Lu Ming. He might as well admit defeat and avoid embarrassment. Lu Ming stopped and didn't continue to attack. Su Feng retreated from the stone platform. In this way, Lu Ming won in advance and was destined to receive the 6th tempering. Countless people were filled with envy and jealousy. Others could not even obtain 1 tempering, but Lu Ming had obtained 6 temperings. Other than being envious, what else could they say? After Lu Ming won, the last 2 stone platforms also flew up. Atavistic Immortal Bone and Divine Unparalleled. Rumble. The 2 stone platforms collided and quickly fused together. Divine Unparalleled, I'll beat you until you cry. The Atavistic Immortal Bone said coldly. The soul fire in its eye sockets jumped, revealing a cold intent. Aren't you afraid of biting your tongue? Oh, sorry, I almost forgot that you don't have a tongue. Divine Unparalleled sneered in response. Kill. At this moment, the stone platforms fused together. The Atavistic Immortal Bone roared and charged towards Divine Unparalleled like a bolt of golden lightning. The Atavistic Immortal Bone didn't use any source-grade divine weapon. It waved its golden palm and directly slapped Divine Unparalleled. Divine Unparalleled was fearless. Wearing silver-white battle armor and holding a battle sword that shone with holy light, he charged towards the atavistic Immortal bone. Clang! Divine Unparalleled's battle sword collided with the atavistic Immortal bone's palm. A violent explosion erupted, and the force swept in all directions. However, the result was that Divine Unparalleled's body trembled violently and was forced to retreat. You can't even withstand a single blow. The atavistic Immortal bone said coldly and continued to attack Divine Unparalleled. It completely ignored its own defense and attacked fiercely. Divine Unparalleled roared and holy light soared into the sky. He used his Genesis technique to resist with all his strength. The way Divine Unparalleled fights is really a little similar to the way the heavenly human race fights. Lu Ming muttered. It wasn't that their bloodlines were similar, but that the power they controlled was similar. They were both of the divine type, and could also be said to be of the light type. There were many types of power, such as the light type, the darkness type, the heat type, the evil type, and so on. Divine Unparalleled is going to lose. He's not a match at all. The atavistic Immortal bone is too strong. If it can't restrain his soul, he's invincible. You're right. In the Divine Master stage, the souls of living beings aren't strong, and they lack means to attack the soul. The atavistic Immortal bone is almost invincible. Many people discussed. Lu Ming's expression was grave. Chapter 5106. Lu Ming secretly measured his battle prowess against the atavistic Immortal bone. He realized that he wasn't the atavistic Immortal bone's match. No matter how strong his Genesis techniques were, they couldn't break through the atavistic Immortal bone's defense. Moreover, he didn't have any means to attack the soul, and he couldn't break through his opponent's defense. He could only passively take a beating. He would be defeated sooner or later. It could only be said that the cosmic sea was too vast, and there were too many monsters. It was beyond imagination. And this was just one of them. Perhaps there were even more terrifying monsters in the cosmic sea. Sacred Wushuang was completely suppressed. After a dozen moves, he had already retreated to the edge of the stone platform. He could be defeated at any time. What's Sacred Wushuang? I think you should change your name to Sacred Trash. The atavistic Immortal bone mocked, but his attacks didn't stop. He wanted to defeat Sacred Wushuang in one fell swoop. The test is over. You can be defeated now. Sacred Wushuang suddenly said. The next moment, his eyes erupted with dazzling light. Two sacred sword lights burst out from his eyes. These two sword lights weren't origin power, but were filled with soul power. This was a soul attack, and it was extremely powerful. The atavistic Immortal bone clearly hadn't expected Sacred Wushuang to suddenly use a soul attack. He couldn't dodge in time, and the two sword lights pierced his eye sockets and attacked his soul fire. Evidently, the atavistic Immortal bone's soul was protected by a treasure. It was a soul defensive treasure that was like an armor that wrapped around the atavistic Immortal bone's soul. However, Sacred Wushuang's soul attack was shockingly powerful. It bombarded the soul defensive treasure, causing it to tremble. Moreover, a powerful pulling force passed through the soul defensive treasure and attacked the atavistic Immortal bone's soul. The atavistic Immortal bone roared and retreated rapidly. The soul in his eye sockets trembled violently. You can actually use a soul attack. No, how can your soul be so powerful? The atavistic Immortal bone roared. It wasn't difficult to master a soul attack technique. How could a behemoth like the Sacred Light Great Cosmos not have a soul attack technique? However, his soul was not strong enough. Even if he had soul attacks, he would not be able to unleash much of their power. The atavistic Immortal bone naturally knew its own shortcomings. Therefore, when it was cultivating, it deliberately spent more time cultivating and strengthening its soul. Moreover, it had soul defensive treasures to protect its soul. However, that move just now had still injured it. Its soul had been struck by the terrifying sword Qi, and it felt like it was about to be torn apart. This meant that the unparalleled divine soul was exceptionally powerful. I forgot to tell you that I was born with a powerful soul. My strongest fighting strength is not my origin energy or my physical body, But my soul energy. Divine Wushuang said coldly, carrying mockery as he looked down on the atavistic immortal bone. The space between his brows shone. This was soul light. It was exceptionally powerful, releasing a powerful aura, crushing towards the reversion immortal bone. Hiss! The surrounding people sucked in a breath of cold air, shocked beyond words. Divine Wushuang's original fighting strength was already terrifying enough, but unexpectedly, he still had a trump card that he hadn't used yet. His soul power was even stronger than before. This was too perverse. With the combination of the two, who could be a match for him? Even Lu Ming could not help but sigh. There were too many freaks in the cosmic sea. Bush. Sword light burst out from Divine Wushuang's eyes again. Two huge sword lights shot towards the reversion immortal bone. This was a soul attack technique. No matter how strong the reversion immortal bone's body was, it was useless. It could directly pass through his body and attack his soul. The reversion immortal bone roared, and his figure flashed faster than lightning, dodging Divine Wushuang's attack. However, the soul attack directly ignored the distance between them. It was too fast, and the reversion immortal bone could not dodge it at all. He was hit again, and his body retreated. His soul felt as if it was being cut, and he felt waves of intense pain. The reversion immortal bone roared in anger. It was really aggrieved that it could not use its strength. It could be said that it had met its nemesis. Divine Wushuang's soul was really shockingly powerful. The reversion immortal bone had intentionally cultivated his soul, and he had all kinds of treasures to strengthen his soul. It could be said that his soul was not weak. Among the powerhouses of the same level, there were not many whose souls were stronger than his. In addition, he had soul defense treasures. Even so, he still could not block Divine Wushuang's soul attack. It could be seen how powerful Divine Wushuang's soul attack was. The people of the other great cosmoses had solemn expressions as they exclaimed in their hearts. His combat strength was unparalleled, and his soul was exceptionally powerful. Such a person was too terrifying. In the future, he would really be able to wrestle with some of the patriarchs of the holy light great cosmos. Kill! The reversion immortal bone roared and charged at Divine Wushuang. He wanted to use his powerful physical strength to defeat Divine Wushuang first. Divine Wushuang retreated and set up layers of defense. There were dozens of layers of sacred light in front of him to block the reversion immortal bone. At the same time, he circulated his soul attack with all his might. Swoosh, swoosh. The reversion immortal bone roared and did not dodge. He allowed the soul attack to land on his body. His body was glowing, and his palm was like an eternal heavenly blade. He slashed out with his palm and slashed at the defensive sacred light that Divine Wushuang had set up. Bang, bang, bang. The layers of defensive sacred light were penetrated. The reversion immortal bone's body was like a divine blade as it charged at Divine Wushuang. However, Divine Wushuang's soul attack had already landed on the reversion immortal bone's body. The reversion immortal bone roared as his soul continued to be injured. However, the reversion immortal bone roared and attacked with all its might. It instantly penetrated Divine Wushuang's defense, and a terrifying light swept across Divine Wushuang's body. The power of the reversion immortal bone was too strong. Divine Wushuang retreated as a terrifying wound appeared on his body. Blood flowed out. Kill! Kill! Both of them roared. They stopped retreating and continued to attack. Everyone around them held their breath, not daring to breathe too loudly. They were afraid that they would miss the exciting battle. The battle had entered a critical moment. It had become a battle of attrition. It depended on who could not hold on. Whoever could not hold on first would lose. Next, the two of them attacked a few more times, and both of them were injured. Divine Wushuang's body was in tatters. There were many wounds on his body. However, the reversion immortal bone seemed to be in an even worse state. Its soul flame was flickering, and its light was much dimmer than before. Stop fighting. Admit defeat. A dog-headed skeleton in the bone's great cosmos transmitted its voice to the reversion immortal bone. Injuries to the physical body were easy to heal, but injuries to the soul were much more troublesome and difficult to heal. Once the reversion immortal bone's soul was injured too severely, it would even affect its future achievements. The people of the bone's great cosmos had no choice but to persuade the reversion immortal bone to give up. The reversion immortal bone roared, extremely unwilling. However, it also knew that it would be extremely disadvantageous for it to continue fighting. Chapter 5107. In the end, the atavistic immortal bone chose to admit defeat. Physical injuries were easy to recover from, but soul injuries were difficult to recover from. If there were any hidden injuries left behind, it would greatly affect one's future achievements. If one wanted to transcend and enter the immortal Tao, any living being would have to go through the immortal tribulation. This realm, as the name suggested, was the tribulation before becoming an immortal. Moreover, there were not just one tribulation but 9. Only by going through the tribulation could one become an immortal and transcend. However, it was too difficult. In this process, every tribulation was extremely dangerous. It could be said that it was a death trap. Every tribulation could stop a large number of cultivators, causing them to lose all their previous efforts and turn into ashes. In order to pass the tribulation, one's physical body and soul were indispensable. One had to be strong enough to have hope. The atavistic immortal bone admitted defeat, and unrivaled holiness won, standing opposite Lu Ming. Lu Ming's lips curled into an inexplicable smile. He suddenly felt that he was very lucky. He had thought that this would be the end of the heaven trampling platform, and that he would not be able to step onto the final stone platform. If he faced the atavistic immortal bone, he would not be able to break through its defenses. He did not expect unrivaled holiness to be the victor. That made things easier. Unrivaled holiness's trump card was a soul attack, and Lu Ming had completely countered it. Boom! Both of them drew on the energy on the stone platforms to temper themselves. After this round of tempering, Lu Ming's soul and physical body had improved by another level. At the same time, his forbidden origin energy had also improved by a lot. Although his combat strength had not improved by much, it was still improving overall. After 6 rounds of tempering, the forbidden origin energy was still stronger than before, and his combat strength had also improved by a lot. While the two of them were in the process of tempering, the people around them were also discussing spiritedly. Who do you think will win, Lu Ming or Unrivaled Holiness? Is there even a need to ask? It's definitely Unparalleled Divine. Unparalleled Divine's strongest trump card is a soul attack. That's right. Lu Ming is very strong. If he doesn't use his soul attack, Lu Ming will most likely win. But if he uses his soul attack, Lu Ming will definitely lose. He has such a powerful soul attack even though he's below the origin level. He's simply invincible. Almost no one was optimistic about Lu Ming. The main thing was that Unrivaled Divine was simply too sick. Even though his cultivation base was not at the source level, he already possessed a powerful soul attack. Coupled with his astonishing combat strength, he was practically invincible among those of the same level. Unless one had a heaven-defying soul defense treasure, there was no way one could block sacred Unparalleled's soul attack. However, heaven-defying soul defensive treasures were rarely seen in the world. Generally speaking, soul defensive treasures were much rarer than fleshly defensive treasures. Furthermore, powerful soul defensive treasures also required powerful soul force to activate. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to display their full power. For example, the atavistic immortal bone's soul defensive treasure was definitely not weak. But because his soul wasn't strong enough, he couldn't display the power of the soul defensive treasure. Thus, Unrivaled Divine's soul attack also penetrated and injured his soul. In the end, the 2 stone platforms under Lu Ming and Unrivaled Divine's feet flew towards the center of the sky and quickly fused together. Lu Ming, admit defeat. You're no match for me. Seeing that we're both from the Yang realm, I won't make things difficult for you. Admit defeat. Unrivaled Divine said. His words were full of confidence as he stood at a certain height and looked down on Lu Ming. My apologies. I, Lu Ming, have never once admitted defeat without a fight. Lu Ming shook his head slightly. I have to say that your talent is rare, especially in this broken universe. It's not easy to reach this step. I can imagine that you must have been unstoppable all the way, but I want to tell you that it's because you were born in this broken universe. There are no geniuses at all. The cosmic ocean is vast and boundless. There are countless geniuses. There's always a better mountain. Well, his meaning was clear. Lu Ming, you were born in a small place and have seen too little. You haven't met other powerful geniuses. In fact, the cosmic ocean is very big. There are many geniuses who can suppress you, such as me. I still want to try. Lu Ming smiled. Humph. Unrivaled Divine snorted. His eyes were cold. This guy doesn't know what's good for him. He had thought highly of Lu Ming and tried to persuade him to leave a good impression on Lu Ming. Then he would find a chance to subdue Lu Ming. That was right. He had taken a liking to Lu Ming and wanted to recruit him for his own use. He wanted Lu Ming to become his sharp blade and fight for him. Unfortunately, Lu Ming didn't care about him at all. Fine, I'll teach him a lesson first. I'll let him know how strong I am so that he'll obediently surrender to me in the future. Unrivaled Divine pondered. While the two were conversing, the two stone platforms completely merged together. The two instantly moved. Lu Ming used a Genesis technique, transforming into a 3-foot giant. He took a step forward, causing the stone platform to rumble as he charged towards Unrivaled Divine. However, while Lu Ming was using a Genesis technique, Unrivaled Divine also launched an attack. He directly used a spirit attack. He had already seen Lu Ming's battle prowess. If he didn't use a spirit attack, he didn't have the slightest confidence that he would be defeated. Therefore, he directly used his trump card to suppress Lu Ming in one fell swoop. The space between his brows glowed, and a pair of pupils emitted a dazzling light. Then 2 rays of sword light shot out and slashed towards Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming ignored the 2 attacks and continued to charge towards Unrivaled Divine. He's not dodging the spirit attack. Perhaps he also knows that he can't dodge it. Didn't you see what happened to the atavistic immortal bone? He wants to forcefully resist the spirit attack and seize the opportunity to attack Unrivaled Divine, hoping to turn the tables. Drawing a red packet. How laughable. He doesn't know how terrifying a spirit attack is. He wants to forcefully resist it? He'll be beaten into a fool later. Many people mocked. In the next instant, the 2 rays of sword light struck Lu Ming. They directly ignored Lu Ming's defense and rushed into Lu Ming's sea of consciousness, intending to slash Lu Ming's spirit. However, they struck empty air. Lu Ming's sea of consciousness was empty. There was no spirit at all. What's going on? Unrivaled Divine was stunned. Under the origin realm, the spirit generally resided in the sea of consciousness. Only after reaching the origin realm would the spirit reside in the origin root, absorbing origin power to temper and strengthen the spirit. Boom! Lu Ming's attack erupted. The war god's spear was like a mountain range, smashing towards Unrivaled Divine with terrifying power. Unrivaled Divine was greatly alarmed. His reaction was fast enough. He instantly mobilized a powerful force and set up layers of defenses in front of him. However, when the war god's spear smashed down, these defenses collapsed one after another. Unrivaled Divine coughed up blood and retreated. Chapter 5108. Divine Wuxia coughed up blood and retreated. The surrounding people were shocked. What was going on? Lu Ming had been hit by Divine Wuxia's soul attack, but he was still able to unleash such a powerful attack as if nothing had happened. Was Lu Ming's soul also so powerful? Why isn't your soul residing in your sea of consciousness? Divine Wuxia roared. The surrounding people were shocked, and then they suddenly understood. It turned out that Lu Ming's soul did not reside in his sea of consciousness. No wonder Divine Wuxia's soul attack did not have much effect on Lu Ming. However, it was indeed strange that the soul did not reside in the sea of consciousness. Could it be that Lu Ming was so talented that he could transfer his soul into the origin seed early on? The vast cosmic sea was full of all kinds of strange things. Some creatures with extraordinary talents could transfer their souls into origin seeds early on. Perhaps Lu Ming was one of them. Many people thought so, including Divine Wuxia. Slash! Divine Wuxia roared, his eyes like 2 small suns. Swish! 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 This time, at least 7 or 8 beams of sword light shot out from his eyes and slashed at Lu Ming. Soul attacks were extremely fast and difficult to dodge. Lu Ming was hit directly. Soul attacks could ignore the physical body and the defense of ordinary source-level weapons. But at the same time, they did no harm to the physical body. They were mainly aimed at the soul. This time, several beams of sword light rushed at Lu Ming's origin seed. Others rushed behind Lu Ming's physical body and turned into tiny beams of sword light that attacked Lu Ming's physical body, including his internal organs. Divine Wushuang was very cautious this time. He knew that some people were very special. They could not only reside in their origin seeds, but also in their internal organs and even other parts of the physical body. This time, he took care of all these things. He was sure that Lu Ming's soul had nowhere to hide. This time, Lu Ming's soul was indeed under attack. However, Lu Ming's soul was scattered among the 60 trillion cells in his body. Every cell had a small part of it. Unrivaled Holiness's attack couldn't be distributed to every cell. Even someone with a soul 10 times stronger than Unrivaled Holiness wouldn't be able to do it. Therefore, this attack did not have much effect on Lu Ming. Lu Ming's figure trembled for a moment, but then, as if nothing had happened, he charged past and continued to attack Divine Unparalleled. Impossible! Divine Wushuang roared in disbelief. His soul attack was completely ineffective against Lu Ming. Then, he tried his best to defend himself, but he was still sent flying by Lu Ming, coughing up large mouthfuls of blood. Everyone was dumbfounded. This time, Divine Peerless had clearly used an even stronger soul attack on Lu Ming's other body parts, but it was still ineffective. What was going on? Was Lu Ming a soulless person? Impossible. They clearly sensed the aura of a soul on Lu Ming. Could it be that Lu Ming's soul was also naturally strong, even stronger than Divine Wushuang's? Was that why he didn't fear Divine Wushuang's soul attack? Everyone's imagination ran wild. Meanwhile, Lu Ming's attacks rained down on Divine Wushuang like an avalanche. Ah! Divine Wushuang roared, unwilling to admit defeat. He had been looking down on Lu Ming, wanting to subdue Lu Ming, but now he was being suppressed by Lu Ming. This was really a slap in the face. He fought back with all his strength. Sword light kept bursting out of his eyes, and his body was covered in a sacred light that covered half of the platform. One had to admit that Divine Wushuang was very strong. He had almost no weakness when using both physical and soul attacks. Others of the same level would find it difficult to fight against him. Unfortunately, he had encountered Lu Ming. Lu Ming was his nemesis. He could completely restrain him. His soul attack was useless against Lu Ming. Lu Ming directly ignored the soul attack and pushed his combat power to the extreme. In the end, Divine Wushuang knew that his soul attack was useless against Lu Ming, so he could only give up on it and use all his origin power to fight against Lu Ming. Unfortunately, without his soul attack, he was not much stronger than other 5-time G-Breaker cultivators. How could he be a match for Lu Ming? After a few moves, he was injured and his injuries worsened. In the end, he was blown off the platform by Lu Ming and completely defeated. Lu Ming won this battle. The surrounding people were stunned. They didn't expect that the final winner would be Lu Ming. I can only say that Lu Ming is too lucky, and Divine Wushuang is too unlucky. If Lu Ming had encountered the atavistic Immortal Bone earlier, the final victory would have been Divine Wushuang's. Some people sighed softly. They could naturally see that Divine Wushuang was restrained by Lu Ming. If Lu Ming had encountered the atavistic Immortal Bone earlier, he definitely wouldn't be a match for it and would be defeated. Then, Divine Wushuang would defeat the atavistic Immortal Bone and obtain the final victory. Unfortunately, sometimes luck was also a part of strength. Damn it! Divine Wushuang stared at Lu Ming, his eyes cold. He swallowed a few divine pills, sat down cross-legged, and began to heal his injuries. Some people had already begun to leave. The battle for the heaven-trampling platform was over, so there was no need to stay. Some people had been tempered by the platform and their foundations were much more stable. They planned to go back and consolidate their foundations in preparation for breaking through to the origin realm. No one was in a hurry to break through. This was because the cosmic sea generally only went berserk once. It wouldn't become more berserk as others broke through. In other words, even if others succeeded in breaking through under the origin tribulation, the cosmic sea wouldn't become more berserk, and the origin tribulation wouldn't become stronger. In the past, the cosmic sea had never successively gone berserk. Perhaps this was the cosmic sea giving them a chance to survive. Breaking through under the origin tribulation was a test. If one succeeded, they would receive a gift from the cosmic sea. This meant that this was just a test, and the cosmic sea wouldn't really cut off everyone's path. If the cosmic sea became more berserk every time someone broke through, then those who came later would have no chance at all. Boom. At this moment, Lu Ming activated the energy on the platform and began to temper his body. The energy on the heaven trampling platform was so dense that Lu Ming could clearly feel that his soul and body were rapidly becoming stronger. They were constantly being tempered and improved at a crazy rate. Amidst the pure energy, Lu Ming's body and soul shone with a mysterious luster, free of impurities. When the tempering was over, Lu Ming circulated his body slightly and felt that he was full of power. Too strong. I feel like I can now fight a pinnacle almighty with just the strength of my body. Lu Ming pondered. It was unbelievable that he could fight a pinnacle almighty with just the strength of his body. His soul was also shining brightly. It was many times stronger than before. Chapter 5109. Lu Ming now felt that he had great confidence in breaking through to the origin realm. In the past, he would feel a strong sense of danger whenever he thought of breaking through to the origin realm. But now, this sense of danger had disappeared. At the very least, it meant that there shouldn't be any fatal danger when breaking through to the origin realm. Let's leave this place first and find a place to familiarize myself before breaking through. Lu Ming pondered for a moment before taking a step and leaving the stone platform. Rumble. The moment Lu Ming left the stone platform let out a violent roar and cracks appeared on it. Then it exploded with a bang. Even the huge octagonal stone platform at the bottom was the same. It completely exploded and turned into ashes. The sky trampling platform was completely destroyed. Many people sighed. The sky trampling platform was incomplete. It was only a part of a complete sky trampling platform. Furthermore, it was severely damaged and could only be used once. After using it once, its energy would be exhausted and it would be destroyed. If it was a complete sky trampling platform, it wouldn't be like this. After exhausting its energy, it would at most seal itself and slowly continue to absorb energy until the day it was opened. Lu Ming's heart was as calm as an ancient well. On the contrary, he felt that this was better. After all, the living beings in the primitive universe were weak. If it was a complete sky trampling platform, they wouldn't be able to keep it and it would benefit the people from other universes. It would be better to destroy it. Lu Ming stepped into the air and came to the side of Mulins and Huang Ling. Mulins and Huang Ling had been staying with the people from the Jade Clear Great Cosmos to avoid being targeted by the 8 races of the Forbidden Lands. Now, the people from the Jade Clear Great Cosmos had already left. The 8 races of the Forbidden Lands didn't take any further action. Lu Ming, congratulations. Mulins and Huang Ling walked towards Lu Ming with joy. Lu Ming had obtained the opportunity of the highest sky trampling platform. They were happy for Lu Ming. Senior sister, Huang Ling, let's go. Lu Ming said. Stop right there. Just as the 3 of them were about to leave, a cold shout rang out. Waves of aura surged toward Lu Ming's group, locking them in place. Soon after, the sound of something breaking through the air rang out. Figures flashed and a group of people surrounded Lu Ming. Lu Ming's face darkened. They were from the underworld. Lu Ming initially thought that it was someone from the Nether River Great Cosmos, as Lu Ming had previously defeated the Nether River Great Cosmos exceptional genius, Lan Yuchen. However, upon closer inspection, they weren't from the Nether River Great Cosmos or the Skeletal Great Cosmos. They were from the Hellfire Great Cosmos, which was ranked 18th in the underworld. In fact, the people from the Nether River Great Cosmos had already left. The people from the Skeletal Great Cosmos were still there, but they didn't make a move. Instead, they stood in the distance and watched coldly. Dozens of powerhouses from the Karmic Fire Great Cosmos surrounded Lu Ming and the others. What do you want? Huang Ling shouted. What do you want? Naturally, I have to send this Lu Ming on his way. An elder from the karmic fire great cosmos said coldly. I don't think I have any enmity with your karmic fire great cosmos. Lu Ming said. Ha, no enmity? The underworld and the yang world have been fighting for so many years, yet there is no enmity between us. Your talent is too high. We can't let you live. An origin from the karmic fire great cosmos sneered. That's right. A genius like him should be killed as soon as possible. Another expert from the underworld spoke and came over. He wasn't from the karmic fire great cosmos, but from another cosmos in the underworld. In the blink of an eye, dozens more experts arrived. They were all from the underworld who had a good relationship with the karmic fire great cosmos. As for the others from the underworld, they either watched coldly from the sidelines or turned around and left. In their opinion, Lu Ming was dead for sure. Lu Ming was just a human from the broken primitive universe. Without a backer, he was doomed. Should we help Lu Ming? Some of the experts from the Yang world who hadn't left secretly discussed. Don't you see the people from the Bone Great Cosmos eyeing him covetously? If we make a move, we might draw their attention. The people from the Holy Light Great Cosmos are still around. Let's see if they want to make a move. Others spoke as they looked at the Holy Light Great Cosmos. There were many experts from the Holy Light Great Cosmos, and they were all very strong. If they made a move, Lu Ming might be saved. No matter what, Lu Ming was from the Yang world and belonged to the same faction as the Holy Light Great Cosmos. Young Master, what should we do? Someone from the Holy Light Great Cosmos looked at Sacred Unparalleled. Lu Ming is arrogant and conceited. Even if he matures, he might not be of any benefit to the Yang world. There is no need to help him. Let's go. Sacred Unparalleled said coldly with a cold gaze. Asking him to save Lu Ming? What a joke. How could he possibly do that? If he could, he would personally kill Lu Ming. After saying that, Sacred Unparalleled led the people from the Holy Light Great Cosmos and left. Seeing the people from the Holy Light Great Cosmos leave, even if some people from the other great cosmoses wanted to help Lu Ming, they would have to weigh their own strength. How could they be a match for the Karmic Fire Great Cosmos? Furthermore, there was still the Bone Great Cosmos eyeing them from afar. Some people sighed helplessly and left one after another. Lu Ming's expression didn't change. He finally understood that although the various great cosmoses of the Yang world were in an alliance against the Yin world, there were still open and veiled struggles between them. The waters were very deep. Otherwise, why hadn't any great cosmos come to the rescue when the primitive cosmos had been destroyed? Lu Ming didn't believe that the top powerhouses of the other great cosmoses wouldn't have sensed such a great battle. The moment the primitive cosmos universe channel opened, the other great cosmoses had sent people over. How could they not have sensed it? It was better to rely on oneself than on others. Lu Ming had the human monarch's broken sword, so he wasn't afraid of these people. If these people wanted to die, then he would kill them. Back then, he had fought against the 8 races of the Forbidden Zone alone. Although he had exhausted the energy of the human monarch's broken sword hilt, more than a decade had passed. The energy of the sword hilt had long recovered. Lu Ming, it seems that no one will save you. You can die now. An old origin source from the Karmic Fire Great Cosmos said coldly. I have no enmity with you in the past. I didn't want to offend you. If you leave now, I can pretend that nothing happened. However, if you are aggressive and insist on killing me, then you have to be prepared to pay the price. Lu Ming said. His original intention was not to offend more people. He already had enough enemies and didn't want to make more. He wouldn't be afraid if he was alone. The main thing was that he had his family, wife, friends, and confidants behind him. He had to consider their safety. Ha! Pay the price? What a joke. What price can we pay to kill you? Some people laughed. These 2 women are not bad. Don't kill them yet. Take them down first and we can have some fun tonight. A middle-aged man's eyes darted between Mulan and Huang Ling. His eyes were burning with passion. Lu Ming's face darkened completely. Murderous intent surged. No money? I'll give you cash or coins. Time limit, 1 day to collect. Attention, everyone number, free to collect. Chapter 5110. You still dare to show killing intent? What you want to fight? Neil. An old man from the karmic fire great cosmos said coldly, taking the initiative to attack. He took out a violet golden pagoda. Terrifying flames permeated the pagoda as it rapidly expanded, pressing down on Lu Ming. The old man was very powerful. He knew that Lu Ming possessed the battle prowess of someone who had broken through 5 times, yet he still attacked with such confidence. His battle prowess was obviously shocking. The old man's battle prowess was at the peak of early reciprocity. At the same time, the violet golden pagoda was a peak source-level weapon. Lu Ming immediately felt a huge pressure. Mulin's and Huang Ling trembled as their faces paled. Lu Ming really was not the old man's opponent in terms of battle prowess alone. After all, the difference in cultivation was just too great. As a result, Lu Ming used the human king's broken sword without any hesitation. The broken sword trembled as the hum of the sword resounded through the universe. Afterward, a streak of light shot into the sky. It was just too resplendent, so dazzling that many people instinctively closed their eyes. Swish! Lu Ming soared into the sky with his sword and slashed out, landing on the violet golden pagoda. With a plop, the violet golden pagoda was cleaved in half like it had struck a piece of rotten wood. Afterward, the streak of light did not stop, slashing toward the old man. It was just too fast. The old man was clearly stunned. He had never thought that Lu Ming could cleave the violet golden pagoda in a single strike. That was a peak source-level weapon. It was indestructible. How could it be destroyed so easily? By the time he reacted, it was already too late. The streak of light entered his body and directly cleaved him in half. Even his origin root and soul were destroyed. What was going on? To the side, the others were shocked. He killed Elderhu. Attack together and kill him. A genius from the karmic fire great cosmos roared. He was a genius who had broken through 4 times. He was already a peak genius in the karmic fire great cosmos. As for Tan Yi, he had already left after being defeated. He was looking for a place to break through. He was not here. Immediately, several dozen reciprocity experts from the karmic fire great cosmos struck out together. They used terrifying moves to drown out Lu Ming's group. Enter the Great Desolate Ring. When Lu Ming made his move, he had already activated the ancient Desolation Ring and sent Mulin's and Huang Ling into it. You forced me to do this. Lu Ming let out a long howl, his eyes cold. He didn't want to offend anyone, but since they were pressuring him, he had no choice but to kill them. Clang. The humming of the sword resounded through the void as the sword light tore through the sky, breaking through the surrounding attacks and slashing towards the crowd from the karmic fire great cosmos. Blood splattered everywhere. In just a single moment, 3 Origin Realm experts were killed, dying on the spot. However, the sword light did not stop there. It continued to change its direction and slashed out. Puff, puff, puff. The human king's broken sword was simply too powerful. These people were simply no match for it. No matter what kind of attack, Genesis art, or source-grade divine weapon, they were all cleaved apart by the sword. Soon, more than a dozen origins were slain by Lu Ming. The others were finally terrified. That's an immortal weapon. No, it's at least a pseudo-immortal weapon. He can actually use a pseudo-immortal weapon. Not good. Let's retreat. The remaining people scattered and fled in all directions. In addition to the people from the karmic fire great cosmos, there were also dozens of experts from the other cosmos of the world. They were originally surrounding the periphery, but at that moment, they also scattered. They were really scared to death. They never thought that Lu Ming would have such a powerful weapon in his hands. Fortunately, they didn't have time to make a move just now and were far away from Lu Ming. Otherwise, they would have been the ones to die. Not only them, but the people from the Bone Great Cosmos were also stunned. The atavistic immortal Bone's eyes were bright as it stared at the broken sword in Lu Ming's hand. It's very likely to be a broken immortal weapon. I've seen a real immortal weapon before. The aura is too similar. The atavistic immortal Bone said. The rest of the people gasped a breath of cold air. They then looked at Lu Ming with burning eyes. An immortal weapon, it was an immortal weapon. It was definitely the ultimate weapon in the universe. As the name implied, immortal weapons were exclusive weapons for immortal Dao figures. However, not every immortal Dao figure had an immortal weapon. That was because immortal weapons couldn't be forged. Even the strongest blacksmith could only forge a pseudo-immortal weapon at most. They couldn't forge a real immortal weapon. A real immortal weapon had to be born from the universe itself. Some of the known immortal weapons were born at the beginning of the universe, while some were born from the chaos. There were limited numbers, and each one had the power to destroy the world. Its value was immeasurable. However, ordinary people couldn't use immortal weapons at all. Only immortals could truly use immortal weapons. Lu Ming was only a divine master. How could he use an immortal weapon? This broken immortal weapon should have been left behind by a human expert in the primitive universe. After being refined by a human expert, Lu Ming can barely use it. However, I estimate that he won't be able to use it for long before he can truly control it. The atavistic immortal bone analyzed. The bone Great Cosmos was ranked 7th in the Yang realm. Immortals roamed freely and didn't lack immortal weapons. As a peerless genius of the bone Great Cosmos, he had always been focused on nurturing and was seen as a future immortal Dao figure. He had come into contact with immortal weapons before and knew some of their secrets. He didn't believe that Lu Ming could really control an immortal weapon. That was impossible. Not to mention that Lu Ming was just a divine master. Not even a top immortal tribulation expert could truly control an immortal weapon. Only immortals could fully control an immortal weapon. "Should we snatch it, sir?" asked an expert from the bone Great Cosmos. Their eyes were burning with desire. This was an immortal weapon. Even if it was just a broken immortal weapon, it was still priceless. To be honest, Divine Wushuang's eyes were also burning with desire, but he shook his head in the end. He wasn't confident. He didn't know how long Lu Ming could use it. As long as Lu Ming could still use the broken immortal weapon, they couldn't do anything to Lu Ming. At this moment, Lu Ming held the Human King's broken sword and looked coldly at the bone Great Cosmos. If these people didn't know what was good for them, he wouldn't show any mercy and would kill them all the same. In any case, offending one person was offending, and offending a group was also offending. It seems that there are indeed many treasures left in the Great Cosmos. There won't only be one broken immortal weapon. There might even be a complete one. Let's leave first. There will be plenty of opportunities to deal with Lu Ming in the future. Ancestral Immortal Bone said. In the end, the bone Great Cosmos didn't make a move and left. After the Yin World's people left, Lu Ming put away the Human King's broken sword and his figure flashed, turning into a beam of rainbow light that left the place. He didn't go in the direction of the Azure Divine Realm, but in another direction. He was afraid that the 8 clans of the Forbidden Zone would ambush him on the way back. Although he had the Human King's broken sword, the 8 clans' foundations were too deep. Who knew if they had any special methods to deal with him? For example, there might be some terrifying great killing weapons. After his battle with the 8 clans of the Forbidden Zone, he'd heard that the 8 clans wanted to bring out some great killing weapons to deal with Lu Ming. Later, because of the Outerverse invasion, they'd put it aside and had no time to divert their attention. Chapter 5111. Lu Ming flew quickly, intending to take a detour before returning to the Azure Divine Realm. However, he immediately stopped after flying for a while. 2 runes appeared on his eyes. They were the demonic monarch inscriptions. He saw lines of runes appearing in the void in front of him. It was a powerful formation. These runes were hidden in the void. If he didn't control the demonic monarch inscriptions, he wouldn't have discovered them. This was an source-level formation. Someone had set up an source-level formation here. If it weren't for the demonic monarch inscriptions, Lu Ming would have barged in. Lu Ming's figure flashed, intending to go around the source-level formation. However, as soon as Lu Ming moved, the surrounding void split open and a large number of figures appeared, forming a circle around Lu Ming. The 8 races of the Forbidden Grounds. Lu Ming's face sank. He hadn't expected that the source-level formation would be set up by the 8 races of the Forbidden Grounds. Many of the elders of the 8 tribes of the Forbidden Grounds were holding different bones. Each of the bones was covered in runes. These were origin bones. The formation had been set up by these people using their origin bones. Lu Ming, today is the day you die. A middle-aged origin realm elder of the primordial light race glared coldly at Lu Ming. It looks like you have set up formations all around. You've really put in a lot of effort to deal with me. Lu Ming said. Lu Ming did not believe that the other party could predict the future and know that he was flying in this direction. This could only mean one thing. The 8 clans of the Forbidden Land had most likely set up array formations in all directions, waiting for him to fall into their trap. The people of the Karmic Fire Great Cosmos also wanted to kill me. In the end, they suffered heavy losses. You won't fare any better. Lu Ming's eyes were cold as he took out the human monarch broken sword. Lu Ming, do you think you can do whatever you want just because you have a broken immortal weapon? Let me tell you, an external object is still an external object. An origin realm elder of the extreme evil race sneered and waved his hand. The 8 elders of the clan walked out, each of them holding a large banner. There were a total of 8 flags. They grew in size and were inserted into the void. Immediately, a mysterious and powerful force covered the entire area. Naturally, Lu Ming was shrouded in it. It was like an invisible domain that sealed off all directions. When Lu Ming was enveloped by this domain, he immediately felt that he had lost contact with the human king's broken sword. Lu Ming's expression changed. He had already begun to refine the human king's broken sword. Although he was limited by his cultivation and could not unleash the true power of the human king's broken sword, he could still control the power of the formation at the sword hilt. But at this moment, he had completely lost contact with the human king broken sword. It's the forbidden weapon domain. Lu Ming's expression changed. The forbidden weapon domain was meant to cut off the connection between the cultivator and the weapon. He had encountered similar domains in the universe and even in the spirit dimension. However, when his cultivation had increased, the forbidden weapon domain had lost its effectiveness. Even the most powerful forbidden weapon domain in the universe was ineffective against almighty realm cultivators. He had not expected to encounter such a domain here. However, it was many times more powerful than the one he had encountered before. Battle God Spear. In the next moment, Lu Ming summoned the Battle God Spear. He realized that the Battle God Spear could still be used. Haha, do you feel that you can't use the broken sword anymore? With your cultivation, you can barely control the broken sword. Once the forbidden weapon domain interferes, you can't use it anymore. One of the extreme evil race members sneered. In the forbidden weapon domain, only treasures that are connected to your life can be used. The more powerful the treasure, the harder it is to control it. Lu Ming, without the broken sword, let's see how you die. An elite from the primordial light race said coldly. If one's cultivation was not high enough, it would be difficult to control a powerful weapon. Under normal circumstances, it was almost impossible. Even if one could, it was just barely. It was impossible to use it freely. For example, Lu Ming. Therefore, under such circumstances, it was easy to isolate it. Only treasures that were connected to one's life would be difficult to isolate. However, how could a person with a low cultivation level be connected to such a powerful weapon? It was impossible. Lu Ming tried several times, but he could not control the human king's broken sword. He knew that the broken sword had been completely isolated. It was obvious that the 8 races in the forbidden area had made ample preparations to deal with Lu Ming. Otherwise, why would they surround and kill him when they knew that Lu Ming could control the broken sword? Lu Ming, I will kill you with my own hands. Kill. The elder from the extreme evil race roared as he charged towards Lu Ming. The elder's battle strength was astonishing. He had a complete set of divine weapons and Genesis techniques. Even his Genesis root was at the mid-grade. He had obviously obtained an opportunity and his Genesis root had evolved. He was a top expert in the early origin realm. The elder held the extreme evil blade in his hand and slashed out an astonishing light blade. It went straight for Lu Ming's forehead. Clang. Lu Ming did not hesitate to use his Genesis technique. He brandished the Battle God Spear and clashed with his opponent. Buzz. The Battle God Spear vibrated violently. Lu Ming felt a terrifying force coming towards him. He could not help but retreat. Even Lu Ming, who had broken through 5 times, was no match for a top expert at the early origin realm. Let's attack together to avoid any accidents. People from the other races also roared as they charged towards Lu Ming. Those who dared to attack were definitely top experts. They were all existences at the same level as the elder from the extreme evil race. There were a total of 7 people. There were over 200 reciprocity experts in the surroundings, all of whom were present in all directions. Among them, some had come with a joint attack formation. There were also many who had set up an origin realm formation with their origin realm skeletons. They surrounded the area so tightly that not even a drop of water could pass through. They ensured that Lu Ming had no chance of escaping. They were certain that Lu Ming was dead meat. Not to mention the top experts and joint attack formations, just the origin realm formations were enough to kill Lu Ming. These origin realm formations were set up by origin realm existences using their origin realm skeletons. They were extremely powerful. Not to mention that Lu Ming was only a divine master, even a late origin realm existence would be in danger if he was trapped. Facing the encirclement of 7 experts, Lu Ming was completely passive. He was no match for them at all. Even one of them was stronger than Lu Ming, let alone 7. Even if Lu Ming tried his best, it was still useless. He was soon injured. His body was almost cut in half by a blade light. Fortunately, his vitality was astonishing. He quickly recovered. He tried to break out of the encirclement several times, but he was blocked every time. Lu Ming, today's encirclement is inescapable. You have no chance. The elder from the extreme evil race was rather cold. His eyes were filled with killing intent as he slashed out with his extreme evil blade. You're still far from being able to kill me. Lu Ming revealed a vicious expression. Today was indeed very dangerous. The other party was too well prepared. This also meant that the Forbidden Land's foundations were too deep. Now there were only 2 ways to avoid death. Chapter 51:12. Lu Ming thought about it and could only think of 2 ways to avoid being killed. The first was to enter the ancient desolation ring. He did not know if the ancient desolation ring was refined by souls. Anyway, it was indestructible. Lu Ming had tried it before. Anyway, given his current combat ability, he could not do anything to the ancient desolation ring. As long as he entered the ancient desolation ring, he would be safe for the time being. However, it would only be temporary. Once he entered the ancient desolation ring, it would definitely fall into the enemy's hands. Then, it would be like catching a turtle in a jar. Therefore, unless he had no other choice, he would not enter the ancient desolation ring to avoid danger. The second way was to break through. That's right, break through the origin. Originally, he wanted to find a place to adjust himself before breaking through. That way, he would have a greater chance of success. However, there was no other way now. When breaking through to the origin under the great calamity of origin, no one could interfere. It meant that no one could interfere whether they wanted to help or interfere. Once they interfered, they would be attacked by the cosmic sea. No one could withstand the attack of the cosmic sea. Boom. There was no time to hesitate. Lu Ming immediately began to break through. A powerful aura soared to the sky, breaking through the firmament. Buzz. The void trembled as a terrifying pressure descended from the eternal unknown sky, covering everyone within it. The hundreds of experts of the 8 races in the forbidden area were shocked. This kid is breaking through. He's going to break through to the origin. Damn it, retreat. Many people shouted. The 8 races of the forbidden area did not dare to delay. They quickly retreated, distancing themselves from Lu Ming and distancing themselves from Lu Ming. As long as they did not interfere with Lu Ming's breakthrough, the great calamity of origin would not target them. However, they did not really leave. They only retreated, distancing themselves from Lu Ming and surrounding him. Humph, let's not talk about whether he can break through successfully. Even if he succeeds, he will still die. The elder of the extreme evil race said coldly. In fact, they were not too surprised by Lu Ming's breakthrough because it was within their expectations. Lu Ming had obtained the opportunity of the heaven trampling platform this time. His foundation was stable. If he encountered danger, he would most likely try his best to break through and fight for a chance of survival. However, even if Lu Ming succeeded, they were still confident that they could kill Lu Ming. Even if he succeeded, he would only be at the early stage of origin. How strong could he be? They were well prepared. Want to retreat? Kill. Lu Ming roared. The wings on his back flapped, and he dashed to the side like a bolt of lightning. The war god's spear swept toward the experts of the 8 clans in the forbidden area. Breaking through under the great tribulation of source energies and still dares to attack us? Lunatic. Many people roared in anger, their expressions changing. They had expected that Lu Ming would try his best to break through. However, they did not expect that Lu Ming would dare to attack them while he was breaking through. It was extremely dangerous to break through under the great tribulation of origin. Many geniuses had failed to succeed and died halfway. Anyone who broke through under the great tribulation of origin would focus all their attention and do their best to deal with the great tribulation of origin. Who would dare to attack others? That would be courting death. However, Lu Ming dared to do so. The people of the 8 clans did not dare to fight back. They could only run. Because once they fought back, it was equivalent to interfering with the person breaking through. They would be implicated. Breaking through under the great tribulation of origin was like a kind of training. It was a kind of training given by the cosmic sea. Although it was dangerous, the benefits were endless. Therefore, no one was allowed to interfere. Some of the 8 clans screamed. In the end, there were still some who did not dodge and were hit by Lu Ming. Their bodies exploded and their souls disappeared under the destructive power. Damn it! Someone roared in anger. Are you angry? Hold it in. Lu Ming said coldly. Rumble. There was a violent explosion deep in the void and a terrifying pressure crazily pressed down. Even Lu Ming's body trembled. He was breaking through. The power of the great tribulation of origin was crazily strengthening and was about to crush his body. Not only that, but this force also affected his soul. Lu Ming's soul was also greatly affected. Even if his soul was scattered in different cells, it was inevitable. However, Lu Ming was not the same as before. After being tempered 7 times by the sky-trampling platform, his body and soul had improved many times. He only trembled slightly and then stabilized. The great tribulation of origin is erupting. He won't have time to care about other things. Don't be afraid, a burly man of the 9 demonic spider shouted. But the next moment he screamed in horror because Lu Ming had targeted him. He turned into lightning and rushed towards him. The divine war spear emitted a dazzling light and stabbed at the man. He wished he could give himself a tight slap. Why did he shout and attract Lu Ming's attention? He tried his best to dodge, but Lu Ming was too fast. He couldn't dodge at all. The spear went straight for his origin root. I'll fight you to the death. The man roared and unleashed his full strength. 8 spider legs appeared on his back and stabbed at Lu Ming like 8 spears. However, before he could stab it, a terrifying explosion erupted in the void. A terrifying devouring power enveloped the 9 demonic spider's body. Ah no! The 9 demonic spider expert struggled crazily, but it was useless. His origin root flew out of his body and into the depths of the void. Halfway there, it exploded with a bang. The soul residing in the origin root was also turned into ashes. An origin realm expert died instantly under the great tribulation of origin. The others were terrified. Sure enough, they couldn't interfere with others breaking through under the great tribulation of origin. Otherwise, they would die instantly. Seeing this, Lu Ming became bolder and continued to kill the people of the 8 forbidden races. How could he miss such a good opportunity? Lu Ming was too fast. He was like a bolt of lightning. As long as the people of the 8 forbidden races couldn't avoid him, they would be killed by Lu Ming. I can't accept this. Damn it, damn bastard. Many people roared. They were so angry that they wanted to vomit blood. They could only take a beating and couldn't fight back at all. It was too frustrating. Run further away. The great tribulation of origin is getting stronger. That bastard can't hold on for long. He won't be able to attack us soon. A baleful expert yelled. Then I'll kill you first. Lu Ming shouted coldly and attacked the baleful Yin expert. Damn it. The baleful Yin expert wanted to curse and escape with all his strength. However, his speed was not as fast as Lu Ming. He was caught up very quickly. He let out an unwilling roar and was killed by Lu Ming. Lu Ming's eyes were cold. He resisted the Great Tribulation of Origin while hunting down the 8 forbidden races. Before long, at least 20 Origin Realm experts had died at Lu Ming's hands. Chapter 51:13. The 8 clans of the Forbidden Area were about to go crazy. It had been so long, but Lu Ming was still able to withstand it? What kind of monster was this? What kind of monster was this? Lu Ming's expression became more and more serious. He realized that he would not be able to make a move soon because the power of the Origin Tribulation was becoming more and more terrifying. Even he felt great pressure. Kill one more person? Lu Ming rushed into the crowd and assassinated an elite from the Primordial Light clan under the War God Spear. Then, he sat cross-legged in the void and used all his strength to resist the Origin Tribulation. Rumble. Rumbling sounds came from the depths of the void like a stormy sea. Then, a huge whirlpool appeared in the depths of the void. The void there was constantly twisting. Through the void, one could see the boundless universe sea. There was a terrifying devouring power in the whirlpool that acted on Lu Ming's body. This power was extremely terrifying and special. It wanted to corrode Lu Ming's body and soul. It also wanted to strip Lu Ming's origin root and swallow it into the universe sea. Lu Ming used all his strength to activate the origin power. All the cells in his body were shining. His entire body was shrouded in a hazy light as he used all his strength to resist the Origin Tribulation. Lu Ming could feel that the current Origin Tribulation was indeed very terrifying. It was much stronger than when Shi Tianting had broken through. If he had broken through before stepping onto the sky trampling platform, he might not have been able to resist it. At that time, his body and soul were far from being as strong as they were now. He might have been reduced to ashes by the Origin Tribulation. But now, he was able to resist it. The 8 clans of the Forbidden Area heaved a sigh of relief. That bastard has finally reached his limit. Don't panic. Let's surround him and set up the Origin Formation. We'll kill him after he breaks through. The elder from the Extreme Evil clan said. This person had run the fastest just now. He had actually slipped away from Lu Ming and now stood up again. The people from the 8 great clans in the Forbidden Area started to make preparations. At the same time, they sent messages to the other directions, summoning experts from other directions to surround and kill Lu Ming. Lu Ming's breakthrough was part of their plan. They were mentally prepared. Even if Lu Ming broke through to early reciprocity, they would still be able to deal with Lu Ming. Origin grade formations were cast down by many reciprocity experts, so they were incomparable to formations cast down by peak godlords. The difference was like the difference between heaven and earth. Only experts who stood at the peak of reciprocity did not fear source-grade formations. Regular reciprocity experts did not even dare to face source-grade formations head-on. Lu Ming was completely focused on breaking through. In any case, no one could interfere with his breakthrough under the Great Tribulation of source energies. He did not need to divert his attention to other things. He focused all of his essence, energy, and spirit to resist the Great Tribulation of source energies. In the sky, that vortex was like an eye, staring at Lu Ming. At the same time, a terrifying devouring force erupted, wanting to destroy Lu Ming. Lu Ming's body glowed as he resisted with all his strength. As time passed, the Great Tribulation of source energies grew stronger and stronger. However, Lu Ming could sense that the power of the Great Tribulation of source energies did not increase infinitely. It was about the same as when Tian Chong had broken through. Lu Ming forcefully endured it. At the same time, the origin energy seed in his body began to take root. Strands of roots began to spread throughout his body. Before long, the origin energy seed also began to grow. An origin root appeared. At this moment, Lu Ming's aura became even more berserk, wildly rising. He had broken through. He had officially broken through the bottleneck and stepped into reciprocity. The roots rapidly spread, taking root in various parts of his body. His origin root also rapidly grew. It contained dense forbidden origin energy. Lu Ming looked inside himself and discovered that his origin root seemed to be forged from metal. It gave off a special metallic luster, giving off a feeling of indestructibility. It was definitely not just a low-grade origin root. Lu Ming pondered. His origin root was definitely not just a low-grade origin root. It had surpassed low-grade origin roots. A mid-grade origin root. In the next moment, Lu Ming was enlightened. He clearly understood the grade of his origin root. It was a mid-grade origin root. It's only a mid-grade origin root? What a pity! Lu Ming sighed. He had originally been looking forward to his origin root reaching a high-grade origin root after his breakthrough. After all, his forbidden origin root was no small matter. He had never imagined that it would still be a mid-grade origin root after his breakthrough. It seemed like it was really difficult to increase the grade of one's origin root. However, he still had a chance. As long as he successfully broke through and survived the great tribulation of source energies, the cosmic sea would reward him. His origin root should still be able to improve. He now felt that his origin root should have reached the limit of a mid-grade origin root. He was just a step away from a high-grade origin root. Boom! At this moment, an even more terrifying rumble came from the depths of the void. The cosmic sea went berserk like raging waves. An even more terrifying devouring power erupted from the whirlpool. The true Great Tribulation had just begun. The Great Tribulation of source energies would be the strongest after breaking through to the origin realm. Back then, Shi Tianting had been seriously injured after breaking through and had almost died on the spot. Tianchong had also failed to withstand the Great Tribulation of source energies after breaking through to the origin realm and had died. The terrifying devouring power acted on Lu Ming's body. Even Lu Ming felt a cutting pain. The devouring power seemed to want to peel off his flesh and blood. It wasn't just his flesh and blood, but also his soul. Of course, the origin root that he had just condensed was under the greatest pressure. The devouring power mainly targeted the origin root. Block it! Lu Ming roared as his body glowed. Every cell of his was like a star, emitting a dazzling radiance. One could vaguely see a figure sitting cross-legged in each of his cells, resisting the devouring power. In the distance, the people from the 8 great families of the Forbidden Lands were shocked. What kind of cultivation technique is this kid cultivating? It's so strange. There's a figure in each of his cells. Could it be some kind of clone technique? The people from the 8 great families of the Forbidden Lands guessed that such a cultivation technique was simply unheard of. Lu Ming's body glowed like a powerful defense, resisting the devouring power and reducing the devouring power acting on his origin root. At the same time, he frantically operated the forbidden origin force, and a layer of multicolored light emerged around his body. This was an alternative use of Genesis techniques. This layer of multicolored light was the concentrated embodiment of various defensive secret techniques, and its defense was astonishing. When breaking through under the Great Tribulation of source energies, all kinds of external objects and divine weapons were useless. One could only rely on one's own strength. The cosmic sea was raging, and the terrifying devouring power was constantly erupting, trying to completely obliterate Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming resisted in the end. Of course, he also paid a price. Cracks appeared on his body like porcelain, as if it was about to shatter. There were even a few cracks on his origin root. Lu Ming was secretly shocked. The power of the Great Tribulation of source energies was indeed terrifying. It was much stronger than when Shi Tianting broke through. No wonder Tianchong died and couldn't withstand it. Chapter 51:14. Lu Ming felt that if he hadn't been tempered 7 times by the sky-trampling platform, he might not have been able to withstand it. Even if his origin roots could withstand it, his body and soul wouldn't be able to withstand it. They would be stripped away by the powerful devouring power of the universe sea. But now he finally withstood it. The sky cleared up after the rain, and a rainbow could be seen after the storm. The energy in the void of the universe rushed toward Lu Ming crazily, flowing into Lu Ming's body through his pores. Seal the world and stop him from absorbing the energy between heaven and earth. The people of the 8 clans of the Forbidden Area shouted and began to seal the world. Suddenly, the energy of the void of the universe was blocked and didn't continue to gather toward Lu Ming. It wasn't the time to make a move because the origin tribulation hadn't completely passed, and the vortex in the sky hadn't completely disappeared. They were afraid that they would suffer if they made a move. Lu Ming's eyes were cold. With a wave of his hand, a large number of immortal stones appeared and exploded, turning into billowing energy that was absorbed by Lu Ming. Lu Ming had killed more than 100 origins. Their storage bags, storage rings, and other things fell into Lu Ming's hands. Lu Ming had too many immortal crystals, immortal stones, and all kinds of divine herbs. Even if the people of the 8 clans of the Forbidden Area sealed the void, he still didn't lack energy. A huge amount of energy kept pouring into Lu Ming's body and seeping into every cell of Lu Ming's body. The cells in his body were like countless small suns, shining brightly and constantly strengthening. His soul and body had already reached a limit, but now they were still strengthening. Of course, the most strengthened was the forbidden origin power. Most of the energy was converted into the forbidden origin power. Lu Ming's forbidden origin power was increasing crazily. At this time, the vortex in the sky was getting smaller and smaller. In the end, a beam of energy flew out of the vortex and entered Lu Ming's body. A gift from the universe C. Every living being who broke through under the origin tribulation would receive a gift from the universe C. This was the most precious fortune. When the 8 clans people saw this, their eyes all became red, simply full of envy and jealousy. This energy was too pure. In other words, its level was too high. As soon as it entered Lu Ming's body, it dispersed throughout Lu Ming's body. Awesome! At this moment, Lu Ming felt incomparably comfortable. His entire body, including his soul, was bathed in this energy. His physical body and soul were improving at a visible rate. As for the taboo origin energy, it was increasing at an astonishing speed. It was becoming denser and more powerful. He seemed to hear a cracking sound coming from his origin root. A crack had appeared on his origin root. This crack wasn't left behind by his previous breakthrough. The crack from his previous breakthrough had completely healed after his breakthrough. This crack had only just appeared. Furthermore, after the first crack appeared, even more cracks appeared behind it. In the end, a lot of fragments began to fall off. Yes, it was fragments. It was like molting, the outer layer falling off, revealing the source root that had an even more metallic feel. An even more mystical and shocking aura spread out. A high-grade origin root. Lu Ming's eyes shone brightly. He understood that his origin root had finally been upgraded to a high-grade origin root. The metamorphosis of the origin root meant that the taboo origin energy had also evolved, becoming stronger and purer. Now, Lu Ming could be sure that when Shi Tianting had broken through, his origin root had definitely not been a high-grade one, but a mid-grade one. His taboo origin energy had been extremely powerful to begin with. After his breakthrough and the gift from the Cosmic Sea, it had only been upgraded to a high-grade one. Yes, Lu Ming could feel that his origin root had only just broken through to a high-grade one. It was still very far from the peak. It was obvious that upgrading one's origin root was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. Shi Tianting shouldn't have been able to do so. The upgrade of one's origin root was only one of the transformations. His physical body and soul had also improved by several times, reaching an astonishing height. It seemed like he had reached some sort of limit. This was because Lu Ming felt that his physical body and soul seemed to have reached a bottleneck. At the same time, Lu Ming felt that his mind was very clear. He felt that he could think much faster than before. My comprehension ability has also improved. Lu Ming smiled. The gift from the Cosmic Sea improved all aspects. Not only did it improve one's physical body, soul, and cultivation, but it mainly increased one's potential and opened up one's future path. My cultivation is still improving. Lu Ming's eyes flashed. He realized that his cultivation had been soaring since just now. At this moment, it had already reached the peak of the early reciprocity realm. However, it showed no signs of stopping. It was still improving and was about to break through to the mid-reciprocity realm. This was simply unbelievable. It was extremely difficult to improve in the reciprocity realm. Although it was only a small increase from the early reciprocity realm to the mid-reciprocity realm, it would take a long time, a huge amount of resources, and a large number of treasures containing origin imprints. For example, immortal crystals, source-level divine herbs, and so on. However, Lu Ming had reached the peak of the early reciprocity realm in such a short time. In just a few minutes, he had surpassed the accumulation of others over a long period of time. Moreover, he hadn't reached the end and could still improve. Great! Lu Ming was overjoyed. Didn't the 8 clans of the Forbidden Area want to kill him? This time, I'll give you a surprise. However, he couldn't break through for the time being. He had to stabilize it. If he broke through now, it might scare the people of the 8 clans of the Forbidden Area. What if they ran away? Suppress it for me. With a thought, Lu Ming suppressed the remaining energy in his body. He did not continue to convert it into origin energy. His cultivation was suppressed to the peak of the early reciprocity realm. Of course, he could break through to the mid-reciprocity realm at any time. This was because this energy was a gift from the cosmic sea. It was too pure and almost didn't need to be refined. In the blink of an eye, it could be converted into forbidden origin energy. Soon, Lu Ming's aura stabilized. He has reached the peak of the early reciprocity realm. In the surroundings, the people of the 8 clans of the Forbidden Area felt Lu Ming's aura and couldn't help but widen their eyes in shock. This speed of improvement was too fast. They had been cultivating for many years, but their cultivation was still at the early reciprocity realm. Many of them had not reached the peak of the early reciprocity realm. But how long had Lu Ming been at it? It had only been a few minutes. Comparing oneself to others was really infuriating. So what if he has reached the early reciprocity realm? He's still going to die. The old man of the extreme fiend race said coldly. That's right. So what if he's at the early reciprocity realm? We'll still kill him. Activate. An expert of the 9 demonic spider shouted. Buzz. In the surroundings, the origin energy bones shone. There were at least dozens of experts activating the origin energy bones. In the void, runes filled the air and a terrifying formation appeared. An origin energy formation. The dozens of people who had set up the formation shouted and activated the origin energy formation. A terrifying sword light condensed and slashed at Lu Ming. Now that the vortex had completely dissipated, Lu Ming had completely passed the origin tribulation. He could make his move. Chapter 51:15. Then, let's kill to our heart's content. Lu Ming's eyes flickered with cold killing intent. With a thought, the top-tier source-grade battle armor appeared and covered his entire body. At the same time, the war god's spear appeared in his hand. His source root glowed and forbidden origin energy poured into the battle armor and the war god's spear. Boom! The 2 divine weapons erupted with powerful auras. Their power was completely unleashed. As a peak almighty, Lu Ming could not unleash the power of a source-grade divine weapon at all. At this moment, Lu Ming's forbidden origin energy was just too powerful. Although his cultivation was only at early reciprocity, his origin root was a high-level origin root. Correspondingly, his origin energy was also of a high level. High-grade origin energy was much stronger than low-grade origin energy. It could be said that in terms of pure origin energy, even mid-reciprocity experts were stronger than him, unless a late reciprocity expert took action. At early reciprocity, his origin energy was already comparable to a late reciprocity expert. It was truly heaven-defying. This was the power of a high-grade source root. With Lu Ming's current origin energy, he could completely unleash the full power of a top-tier source-grade divine weapon. Buzz. The war god's spear vibrated as if it was cheering. It erupted with resplendent light and a terrifying spear light erupted. The space around it constantly exploded as it collided with the incoming sword light. With a shocking boom, the spear light and the sword light dissipated at the same time. Kill, kill, kill. The 8 clans of the Forbidden Grounds roared as they pushed the source-grade formation with all their might. Runes filled the air as sword light constantly condensed in the air and shot toward Lu Ming. Every sword light seemed to be boundlessly terrifying. The source-grade formation laid down by dozens of reciprocity experts using their source bones as the foundation was just too powerful. If it were before Lu Ming had broken through, he definitely would not have been able to withstand it. He would have died in just a few moves. No matter how strong his vitality was, it would be useless. He would have been crushed into nothingness. That was why he had begun to break through without any hesitation. Otherwise, he would be in danger once he entered the source-grade formation. But now Lu Ming was fearless. After breaking through to Origin Realm, his battle prowess had increased tremendously. He was much stronger than before. With a roar, Lu Ming activated a Genesis technique as his body rapidly swelled to a height of 3 feet. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, the God of War spear continued to thrust out. Streaks of dazzling spear gleams blocked off the surrounding sword gleams. The people from the Forbidden Area's 8 clans all had extremely ugly expressions. Moreover, they were all horrified. Lu Ming's battle prowess was too frightening. He could actually resist an origin-grade formation head-on. It wasn't that there weren't any experts present. All of them wielded top-tier source-grade divine weapons, had comprehended Genesis techniques, and even had mid-grade Genesis roots. These people were known as the apex of early reciprocity, and there was more than one of them present. However, they discovered that their battle prowess was far inferior to Lu Ming's. There was a huge gap. Burn your origin bones and kill him at all costs. Someone shouted. The 36 origin source experts in the formation called out and powered the formation with their full strength. The origin source bones shone with resplendent light, as if they were enveloped by a layer of fire. They were burning their origin source bones. By burning their origin source bones, they could erupt with energy for a short period of time, raising the power of the source-grade formation to the limit. Countless runes filled the void. Next, these runes condensed into a figure. This figure wielded a battle sword and exuded an aura that could suppress the ages. It was like a supreme being standing in the void, overlooking all life. Swish! The figure's battle sword soared through the air and slashed towards Lu Ming. Space collapsed and was destroyed. Waves of destructive power surged towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming's face turned solemn as he felt a huge pressure. An origin-grade formation was indeed terrifying under the activation of an origin expert. It was known as the despair of origin. Generally speaking, unless one was a peak origin expert, ordinary origin experts would be doomed if they stepped into it. Lu Ming roared as his forbidden origin power madly circulated. His armor and God of War spear shone with resplendent light. At the same time, he pushed his Genesis technique to the limit. He wielded the spear with both hands and swung it. A huge spear light, like a pillar that could hold up the sky, slammed into the sword gleam. Boom! An earth-shaking rumble erupted as a huge explosion occurred in the void. Part of the area was reduced to chaos as all matter was annihilated. Next, Lu Ming's body shook violently as he retreated. His face flushed red as a trace of blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. He's injured. Continue attacking. He won't be able to last much longer. The old man from the extreme fiend race roared, wild with joy. The 36 origin experts who had set up the formation roared as they continued to activate the formation. They controlled the figure condensed by the formation to attack Lu Ming. To be more precise, the figure condensed by the formation could be called the formation spirit. Lu Ming resisted with all his strength and fought with the formation spirit. The two sides exchanged a few blows. Although Lu Ming was injured, it was not serious and he was able to withstand it. This shocked the 8 races in the Forbidden Area. Lu Ming was still able to withstand the attack even after burning his origin source bones. If it had been any other origin expert, they would have died long ago. They were both at the early origin realm, had mastered Genesis techniques, and could use top-level soul-grade divine weapons. But why was Lu Ming's battle prowess so strong? It seemed that a top-level soul-grade divine weapon in Lu Ming's hands could unleash even greater power. Moreover, the power of Lu Ming's Genesis techniques was beyond imagination. They were far superior to ordinary Genesis techniques. The most terrifying thing was Lu Ming's origin power. It was as thick as the universe and indestructible. Every strand seemed to be able to penetrate the void of the universe. It's high-grade origin power. It's definitely high-grade. Someone growled. Everyone's hearts shook violently. They were extremely shocked and envious at the same time. Yes, they were certain that Lu Ming's origin power was high-grade. High-grade? Lu Ming had just broken through to the origin realm, but his origin power had already reached the high grade. This was too shocking. There had not been many people like this since ancient times. Throughout the vast universe sea, there were only a handful of people who had just entered the early origin realm who had reached the high grade in their origin power. It was difficult to find many in the tens of thousands of universes. Every one of these people was a miracle. Every one of them was a legend. Comparisons were odious. They had tried everything they could, but it was still difficult for their origin power to evolve and transform. Some people had narrowly escaped death and obtained heaven-defying opportunities to transform their origin power to the mid-grade. But Lu Ming had just broken through, and his origin power had already reached the high grade. How could they compare? It should be said that origin power was the grade of one's genesis root. It was closely related to the upper limit of one's future achievements. At this moment, the origin power bones used to set up the formation had been burned too intensely and their energy had been exhausted. They changed to another batch and continued to burn, condensing the formation spirit to attack Lu Ming. Is this your trump card? It's just right to use it to hone my genesis techniques. Lu Ming roared. His battle intent soared into the sky. Dazzling spear light swept across the void of the universe. His entire body was shrouded in dazzling light, which was the manifestation of his genesis techniques being pushed to the limit. Such a battle was very beneficial to Lu Ming. As he had said, it could hone his genesis techniques. Chapter 51:16. Lu Ming's genesis technique was still in its infancy stage and was far from the peak. There was still a lot of room for improvement. Such a huge battle was very beneficial to Lu Ming. He could unleash his genesis techniques to the fullest, comprehend them during the battle, and perfect his own genesis techniques. He vaguely felt like he had become a little shorter and his body had shrunk a little. Yes, this was not a misconception. When he used a genesis technique, his body would grow to 3 feet tall and swell up. And now, his body seemed to have shrunk a little. Although it was very small, Lu Ming could still feel it. Lu Ming was overjoyed. This was because his genesis technique had improved. Why did he grow to 3 feet tall when he used a genesis technique? Wasn't it because his genesis technique was still in its infancy stage and was not perfect enough? Lu Ming's control over it was not perfect enough, causing the origin energy to spread. As his comprehension of genesis techniques deepened, his control over them grew steadier and steadier. His body would shrink when he used genesis techniques. When he truly mastered the technique, there would be no difference with his body when he used it. It would be no different from normal. Lu Ming was still very far away from this level. But he had indeed improved in the battle just now. Lu Ming became even more excited. He roared at the sky, ignoring his injuries and fighting with all his strength. This made the 8 clans of the Forbidden Area shiver. He was too much of a monster. He was actually using an origin-level formation to train his genesis technique. Set up the combination formation and kill him together with the origin-level formation. Someone shouted. Without any hesitation, the 8 clans of the Forbidden Area began to set up the formation. At this moment, there were already over 500 origin realm experts rushing over from other directions. Swish, swish, swish. Their figures flashed as they set up combination formation after combination formation. In order to kill Lu Ming, the 8 clans of the Forbidden Area had spent a great deal of resources to set up various terrifying combination formations. This was not an ordinary 3 to 5 person joint attack formation. Even the weakest one was a 7-person joint attack formation. There were even 9-person joint attack formations. Origin-level combination formations and Divine Lord-level combination formations were not only vastly different in power, but the carriers were also much more difficult to create. Generally speaking, it was already very rare for 3 people to attack a formation together. As for the combined formations of 7 to 9 cultivators, even the Forbidden Grounds did not have many of them. Losing even one of them would cause them great heartache. This time, The 8 clans of the Forbidden Ground deployed a total of 5 9-man combined attack arrays, 5 7-man combined attack arrays, and a total of 10 combined attack arrays to attack Lu Ming. Draw a red envelope. The 10 combined formations transformed into battle swords, demonic spiders, and malicious ghosts. They unleashed terrifying power as they attacked Lu Ming. Together with the source-grade formations, they were going to kill Lu Ming. Are they finally making a move? Very good. Then, let's break through. At this moment, Lu Ming did not continue to suppress his cultivation. The remaining energy from the cosmic sea was instantly converted into the power of the forbidden origin. Lu Ming's cultivation level could no longer be suppressed. It directly broke through the barrier of the middle stage of origin and charged into the middle stage of origin. Lu Ming's cultivation level skyrocketed, and so did the power of the forbidden origin. The people of the 8 Forbidden Grounds almost bit their tongues. Their eyes almost popped out of their sockets. What did they just see? Mid-reciprocity. Lu Ming had broken through again. Hadn't Lu Ming just broken through to reciprocity? How could he break through again? Unbelievable. Unimaginable. Not good. Many people felt chills run down their spines. Although he had reached the late stage of the origin tribulation, he was still in the origin tribulation. Only early reciprocity existences could move freely without being affected. Those above mid-reciprocity would still be greatly affected. Once they emerged, they would be suppressed by the origin tribulation, and their origin roots would be devoured. However, creatures who broke through under the origin tribulation did not face this problem. This was because living beings like them had already gained the recognition of the cosmic sea. Let alone mid-reciprocity, they could even reach late reciprocity, peak reciprocity, or even higher without any problems. They would not be suppressed by the calamity of origin. This was also the reason why Lu Ming dared to break through to mid-reciprocity. Lu Ming roared, as if he had endless power. The war god's spear was like a pillar that held up the sky, piercing through the sky. Then, it blasted towards a 9-man joint attack formation. This 9-man joint attack formation condensed a warblade. It was suffused with a hazy light and emitted an evil aura. It was the joint attack formation of the nefarious race. Clang. The warblade and spear collided, and the void was torn apart. Thousands of forces swept out in all directions. In the next moment, the joint attack formation of the nefarious race exploded. The 9 people who had set up the formation screamed and spat out large mouthfuls of blood. Their bodies were covered in cracks like porcelain. They frantically retreated, wanting to get away from Lu Ming. However, after retreating for a while, their bodies exploded. Not even their souls were left. They had all died. Only a hazy warblade was left floating in the air. The joint attack formation of the origin tribulation. Lu Ming did not hesitate. With a wave of his hand, he put the joint attack formation into his storage ring. The people of the 8 forbidden races were stunned. His battle prowess was too terrifying. One move. Just one move was enough to destroy a 9-man joint attack formation. It was too terrifying. Buzz. After Lu Ming destroyed a 9-man joint attack formation, he did not stop at all. He swept out his war god spear and collided with the other joint attack formations. A series of explosions rang out. The other 9 joint attack formations were all repelled by Lu Ming. As for Lu Ming, although he was also pushed back, he immediately stabilized himself. He flapped the wings on his back and charged towards one of the joint attack formations. Then he swung his spear again. Block it. The person who had set up the joint attack formation was terrified. He roared and used all his strength to block Lu Ming's attack. However, it was all in vain. Under the pressure of the war god's spear, the joint attack formation shook violently. Then it exploded. The person who had set up the formation was drowned by the destructive power and died on the spot. Another carrier of the 9-man combined attack array landed in Lu Ming's hands. Afterwards, Lu Ming changed his attack and attacked another joint attack formation. However, at this moment, the source-level formation's soul arrived and blocked Lu Ming's attack. Retreat! Retreat! The other people who had set up the joint attack formation were terrified. They quickly retreated, wanting to leave the source-level formation. There was a huge gap between their battle prowess and Lu Ming's. Even with the joint attack formation, it was not enough. If this continued, they would all be destroyed by Lu Ming. If it were not for the help of the formation soul, another joint attack formation would have been destroyed. Looks like I've broken your source-level formation. Lu Ming went crazy and fought with the formation soul. This time, he actually began to suppress the formation soul. Before he had broken through to mid-reciprocity, Lu Ming had been suppressed by the formation soul and was at a disadvantage. However, as soon as he broke through, he began to suppress the formation soul. It could only be said that the difference between each breakthrough in the reciprocity realm was huge. There were only 4 minor realms in the reciprocity realm. They were early, mid, late, and peak. Therefore, with each breakthrough of a minor realm, the source power would skyrocket tremendously. Ordinary people were like this, let alone Lu Ming. Chapter 51:17. Boom. In an instant, Lu Ming and the soul of the array exchanged more than 10 moves. The soul of the array trembled and its light dimmed. Crack, crack. The origin bones let out strange sounds and cracks appeared on them. The 36 people who had set up the array trembled and blood flowed out of the corners of their mouths. The origin level array was about to explode. Continue to set up the array. Stack the origin level array and kill him. The elder of the extreme fiend race roared. There were 8 forbidden races present. They had more than 500 origins. It was impossible for there to be only one origin level array. Immediately, many origin level experts who were proficient in arrays took action. They took out their origin bones and began to set up arrays. Origin level array masters didn't need origin bones to set up origin level arrays. They could use runes to set up the arrays. However, using runes to set up the arrays took time. Without enough time, the arrays they set up wouldn't be very powerful. With origin bones as the array foundation, the speed of setting up the arrays would be very fast and the power would be able to keep up. Buzz, buzz. The void trembled as runes filled the sky. Soon, 2 more offensive arrays were set up. They also burned their origin bones and released the energy of their origin bones. They condensed an array and charged at Lu Ming. The 3 arrays were stacked and condensed into 3 array souls. For a moment, they were locked in a fierce battle with Lu Ming. Take out the ultimate weapon and kill him. Someone from the 9 demonic spiders shouted. A dozen very old 9 demonic spiders worked together to take out a mirror. Boom. As soon as the mirror appeared, it grew rapidly and covered the sky. It erupted with terrifying power as if it could crush the void. The surrounding space completely exploded and was destroyed, turning into chaos. A pseudo-immortal weapon. The 9 demonic spiders are really generous. They actually took out a pseudo-immortal weapon. Someone exclaimed, "Hello, everyone. Our public account will find gold and coins in red packets every day. You can receive them as long as you follow. The last benefit at the end of the year. Please seize the opportunity. Our public account, a pseudo-immortal weapon." Lu Ming's expression was extremely solemn. A pseudo-immortal weapon was a weapon that surpassed origin-level divine weapons. Generally speaking, it was a weapon exclusive to those who had transcended the immortal tribulation. It was extremely terrifying. How could anyone with the word immortal be simple? However, normally speaking, it would be very difficult for reciprocity experts to control pseudo-immortal weapons, nor would they be able to unleash the power of pseudo-immortal weapons. Clearly, the living beings in the Forbidden Grounds were not to be underestimated. They had most likely used some sort of secret technique to activate the quasi-immortal weapon. It's not a complete pseudo-immortal weapon. There are cracks. Lu Ming discovered that there were a few small cracks on the surface of the mirror. If one didn't look carefully, it would be hard to notice. It was a broken quasi-immortal weapon. Perhaps this was one of the reasons why the 9 demonic spider was able to control a quasi-immortal armament. The mirror shone brightly as a beam of light shot towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming's figure flickered rapidly, wanting to evade. However, it was as if he was locked in place. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't evade. He could only take it head-on. In an instant, the light beam approached Lu Ming. Lu Ming had no choice but to push his battle prowess to the limit, holding the spear with both hands and lashing out in the air. The war god's spear was even larger than a mountain. Divine light surrounded it as it struck the light pillar. Boom! Lu Ming's body shook violently as he retreated. At the same time, he coughed up large mouthfuls of blood. His body emitted white smoke as if it was being burned and corroded. Even the top source-grade battle armor couldn't resist it. Holes appeared on it. A top source-grade battle armor was half destroyed. Even the war god's spear had dimmed, almost breaking. In just one move, Lu Ming was heavily injured. The power of a quasi-immortal weapon was beyond imagination. It was extremely terrifying. In fact, the 9-in demonic spider was even more shocked. Lu Ming could actually survive one move. One had to know that this was a quasi-immortal weapon left behind by an expert who had undergone the second immortal tribulation. It was extremely powerful. Even if it was damaged, its power wasn't something that an ordinary origin realm cultivator could resist. Lu Ming could actually survive one move head-on. His vitality was truly terrifying. Continue! The 9-in demonic spider roared. He wanted to continue using the quasi-immortal weapon to kill Lu Ming. If it weren't for the human king's broken sword being isolated, I would have broken your quasi-immortal weapon. Lu Ming snorted coldly. This time, he didn't wait for the opponent to attack again. He rushed in a direction. Swish! He and the spear became one, turning into a spear light that seemed eternal. On the other side, a formation soul wanted to stop him, but it was directly pushed back by Lu Ming. Stop him! He wants to break out of the encirclement. Someone roared. Stop him! Stop him with all your strength. The 8 clans of the Forbidden Area roared, especially the experts who had set up the source-grade formation. They directly dispersed the formation souls and turned into multicolored light that filled the sky. Like countless divine swords, they attacked Lu Ming. There were even joint attack formations that blocked in front of Lu Ming. Although the quasi-immortal weapon was powerful, it was too difficult to use. It required a certain amount of time. Break! Lu Ming went all out. All the cells in his body emitted multicolored light as if they were burning, raising his battle strength to the limit. He wanted to take advantage of the opportunity to break out of the encirclement or destroy the forbidden weapon domain before the opponent launched the second attack. Bam, bam, bam. The terrifying attacks condensed by the source-grade formation were all broken by Lu Ming. Then he directly hit a joint attack formation. This combined attack array was also a 9-man combined attack array. However, in the face of Lu Ming, who had raised his combat power to the maximum, it was completely useless. It was like a balloon that exploded when the spear gleam pierced through it. Swish! Lu Ming rushed in front of a huge formation flag. This formation flag was one of the foundations of the forbidden weapon domain. Oh no! The expressions of the 8 clans of the forbidden area changed drastically. Kill! Some people of the 9-in demonic spider roared and desperately activated their quasi-immortal weapon. The broken mirror emitted a dazzling multicolored light again, forming a beam of light that shot towards Lu Ming. At this moment, Lu Ming waved the war god spear and ruthlessly struck the formation flag. Bam! Although this array flag was extremely sturdy, it could not withstand Lu Ming's attack. It simply exploded and turned into pieces. As long as one of the formation flags was shattered, the forbidden weapon domain would collapse. At this moment, the beam of light of the quasi-immortal weapon also appeared above Lu Ming's head. At this critical moment, Lu Ming finally regained contact with the human king's broken sword. In an instant, the human king's broken sword appeared in Lu Ming's hand and slashed at the sky. A shocking sword light erupted and slashed at the beam of light. With a puff, the beam of light was directly split open like a piece of rotten wood meeting a divine weapon. Now it's my turn. Lu Ming's eyes were cold and filled with killing intent. The wings on his back flapped and his figure soared into the sky, rushing towards the quasi-immortal weapon and slashing out with his sword. Clang! The human king's broken sword slashed at the quasi-immortal weapon mirror. Immediately, the mirror shattered into pieces and scattered. The 9 demonic spiders who were controlling the quasi-immortal weapon all vomited large mouthfuls of blood, their faces pale. Run! Retreat! The 8 clans of the forbidden area roared and fled in all directions. Chapter 51:18. The 8 clans of the forbidden area immediately fled in all directions. As soon as they saw Lu Ming break through the forbidden weapon domain and reconnect with the human king's broken sword, they knew that they were done for. There was no way they could do anything to Lu Ming today. They could only run, or they would all die. Kill! Lu Ming roared, his killing intent soaring into the sky. The human king's broken sword slashed out with all its strength. A shocking sword light tore through the sky, as if it was splitting the universe. In an instant, 5 or 6 Origin Realm experts were killed. Their souls were annihilated, and they died on the spot. Next, Lu Ming flapped his wings and chased after them like a bolt of lightning. The human king's broken sword constantly slashed out. Every time he slashed out, at least 2 people were killed. Blood dyed the void. Scatter! The 8 clans of the forbidden area were terrified. They did not dare to gather together and scattered, afraid that they would be killed by Lu Ming with a single slash. Even so, there were still people who died at Lu Ming's hands. When Lu Ming was at the peak of the Divine Lord realm, he could use Genesis techniques and rely on the wings on his back to surpass these origins. Now, Lu Ming's cultivation had skyrocketed to mid-origin realm. His origin power had increased by 100 times, and his speed had increased by too much. It was just too fast. They could only see a rainbow light flickering in the vast universe. It was faster than lightning, and every time it flickered, it would take at least 1 life. The 8 clans of the forbidden area were almost scared to death. They frantically fled. Some people screamed in fright. They found that they were like babies when facing Lu Ming. They were too weak. This situation made them despair. Some people even swore that as long as they could escape this time, they would hide in their headquarters for the next few hundred years. They would not provoke Lu Ming. As long as they could endure these few hundred years, Lu Ming would be dead once the origin power calamity was over. Old man, where do you think you're going? Lu Ming targeted an old man from the extreme fiend race. Lu Ming had wanted to kill this old man for a long time now. Unfortunately, he was always the loudest, and also the fastest to flee. But this time, Lu Ming would not let this person go. This old man is finished. The elder from the extreme evil clan screamed miserably. Then, Lu Ming struck him with his sword and killed him. This massacre lasted for a full half an hour. Lu Ming chased them for hundreds of millions of miles and killed a total of 151 origins before it finally came to an end. The storage bags and storage rings left behind by these people naturally fell into Lu Ming's hands. Among them, the most precious was the broken pseudo-immortal weapon. Although it had been shattered by Lu Ming, its fragments were still incomparably precious. If Chiu ate it later, it would definitely be a great tonic. Of course, the treasures left behind by the 151 origins were also massive. Lu Ming didn't have the time to sort them out, so he collected them all. But Lu Ming didn't want to let it go just like that. He had already killed more than 250 origins from the 8 clans of the Forbidden Lands. There was no room for reconciliation with the 8 clans of the Forbidden Lands. They would not rest until one of them was dead. The 8 clans of the Forbidden Lands would never let Lu Ming go. They would kill Lu Ming as soon as they had the chance. Therefore, Lu Ming would never let the 8 clans of the Forbidden Lands go. He would kill them as soon as he had the chance. Now was a very good time. Now, those above the Middle Origin realm could not move freely. They were still in a state of self-restraint. Now that he was at the Middle Origin realm, he could be said to be invincible. What would happen if he killed his way to the headquarters of the 8 clans of the Forbidden Lands? He would do it right away. Even if he couldn't destroy the 8 clans of the Forbidden Lands, he would kill them until they were terrified and plunder a large amount of resources. This place was closest to the headquarters of the 9 demonic spider race, the 9 demonic ruins. Lu Ming directly rushed to the 9 demonic ruins. Lu Ming's figure moved, directly tearing through space. His speed was extremely shocking. In just a day, Lu Ming arrived outside the 9 demonic ruins. After arriving at the 9 demonic ruins, Lu Ming knew he was overthinking things. That was because he could feel the terrifying aura of the 9 demonic ruins from afar. It was a kind of heart-stopping feeling. Lu Ming activated the demonic king rune and looked at the 9 demonic ruins. Immediately, the 9 demonic ruins changed in his eyes. Dense runes appeared. Those were formations. He was certain that they were all origin realm formations. They were connected to each other, rising and falling continuously. He didn't know just how many there were, but they enveloped the vast 9 demonic ruins. There was even an origin realm expert standing guard at every set distance. It could be said that the 9 demonic ruins was completely defended. Once a living being entered, it would enter the 9 demonic ruins, and all the source-level formations would be activated to launch a destructive attack. With so many origin realm formations activated at the same time, Lu Ming had reason to believe that any origin realm expert would die if they entered. Even ordinary immortal tribulation existences wouldn't be able to withstand it. Lu Ming naturally didn't think that the 9 demonic spiders were guarding against him. In truth, the 9 demonic spiders that were scattered by Lu Ming hadn't returned yet. Lu Ming had arrived at the 9 demonic ruins earlier than those people. It's most likely the people guarding the outerverse. Lu Ming muttered. Now that the universe channel had opened, countless experts of the great cosmos had swarmed in. Even the various forbidden lands were on guard, not daring to relax. It was normal for them to set up heavy defenses in their headquarters. However, these origin realm formations are useless against me. Lu Ming muttered. The Demon King rune in his eyes flickered with a mysterious light. The secrets of these origin realm formations were completely exposed to Lu Ming. Soon, he discovered the loopholes of these origin realm formations. As long as he entered the 9 demonic ruins through these loopholes, he wouldn't alarm the 9 demonic spiders. Without any hesitation, Lu Ming restrained his aura and approached the 9 demonic ruins silently. He planned to enter the 9 demonic ruins through the loopholes of the array formation and secretly plunder the treasures of the 9 demonic ruins. But just as Lu Ming approached the 9 demonic ruins, his body couldn't help but tense up. His hair stood on end, and a chill rushed from the bottom of his heart to the top of his head. Danger, extreme danger. It was as if some primordial beast was awakening at the center of the 9 demonic ruins. Lu Ming sensed a terrifying consciousness shrouding the entire 9 demonic ruins. It was constantly circulating. Lu Ming was certain that no living creature that entered the 9 demonic ruins would be able to escape the shroud of this consciousness. Lu Ming retreated without hesitation. He only heaved a long sigh of relief when he was far away. Suddenly, he realized that his whole body was cold. He had just broken out in a cold sweat. Even at his level, he was covered in cold sweat. It was obvious how nervous he was just now. There's a terrifying expert among the 9 demonic spiders. Its consciousness has awakened and shrouded the entire 9 demonic ruins, Lu Ming muttered. He already knew that some terrifying existences were still sealed and couldn't come out, but their consciousnesses could already appear. There were such existences in the Tsongqing divine realm. Back then, when the 8 clans of the Forbidden Land besieged the Tsongqing divine realm and wanted to kill Lu Ming, a few ancestors' consciousnesses appeared in the Tsongqing divine realm and stood on Lu Ming's side, wanting to protect him. Chapter 51:19. Now, in the Azure divine realm, a terrifying existence's consciousness had manifested and shrouded the 9 demonic ruins. Obviously, it was guarding against the outerverse powerhouses. Obviously, the 9 demonic spider was very cautious. After all, the universe was vast, and there were all kinds of creatures. Even if there were creatures that could break through various arrays and silently enter the 9 demonic ruins, they would not be surprised. This was because the 9 demonic spider knew that there were such creatures in the cosmic sea that could ignore all kinds of arrays. Therefore, they had a terrifying ancestor's consciousness that shrouded the 9 demonic ruins. This way they would be foolproof. Lu Ming pondered for a moment and decisively retreated. Even if he was a human king, it would not work. The waters of the Forbidden Lands were too deep, and this was the headquarters of the Forbidden Lands. Who knew what would happen if he barged in? One had to know that in the prehistoric continent, human kings would be injured if they trampled on the Forbidden Lands. After leaving the 9 demonic ruins, Lu Ming did not return to the Azure Divine Realm. Instead, he headed towards the land of extreme evil. He still wanted to try his luck. However, when he approached the land of extreme evil, he stopped in his tracks. This was because the land of extreme evil was the same as the 9 demonic ruins. It was also covered in layers of arrays, and a terrifying existence's consciousness had manifested and shrouded the entire land of extreme evil. It seemed that Lu Ming's plan was going to fail. The universe was too chaotic now. Even the major Forbidden Lands were on guard and did not dare to relax. Needless to say, most of the other Forbidden Lands were the same. Lu Ming could not be bothered to make a wasted trip. Therefore, he could not help but think of the Heaven Destroyer's base. How was the Heaven Destroyer's base now? Lu Ming was glad that the few universe passageways were in the Western universe. There were no universe passageways in the Eastern universe. Moreover, the Eastern and Western universes were separated by a vast void zone. The living beings of the Outerverse should not have gone to the Eastern universe yet. Although there were 3 Forbidden Lands in the Eastern universe, a portion of the Heaven Destroyer's early-stage origin source would awaken. With the Danden's source grade array, it should be enough to protect itself. However, Lu Ming was still a little worried. He planned to wait until his cultivation was stronger before returning to the Eastern universe. It was only a matter of time before the Outerverse living beings would head to the Eastern universe, and chaos would ensue there as well. Lu Ming left the land of extreme evil and returned to the Azure Divine Realm. It's Lu Ming. Lu Ming is back. He broke through. He successfully broke through under the crisis of origin energy and reached reciprocity. He even reached mid-reciprocity and killed many experts from the 8 races. Terrifying. What a miracle! Lu Ming's return to the Azure Divine Realm caused a huge commotion. There was no such thing as an impenetrable wall in the world. News of Lu Ming being surrounded by the 8 clans of the Forbidden Land and then breaking through to the mid-stage of reciprocity at the critical moment and killing the 8 clans of the Forbidden Land spread. After all, there were so many people from the 8 clans in the Forbidden area. If even one of them revealed a little to their disciples or friends, it would be very easy for the news to spread. This news was too shocking. As soon as it was released, it spread throughout the universe at the speed of a hurricane. When Lu Ming went to the 9 demonic ruins and the land of extreme evil and returned to the Azure Divine Realm from there, the news had already spread like wildfire. This was too shocking. Even the living beings of the Outerverse were shocked. Lu Ming had just suppressed everyone on the sky trampling platform and seized the highest platform, and then he had caused such a huge commotion. Not only had he broken through under the crisis of origin energy, but he had also reached mid-reciprocity in one go. This speed was simply terrifying. Such a freak would attract the attention of the world even in the top great cosmoses of the cosmic sea. Everyone knew that an extraordinary freak had risen. As long as he did not die, his future achievements would be immeasurable. Would there be another human monarch in the antediluvian universe? Don't worry. The antediluvian universe core has shattered, and no one knows where it is. The laws of the entire universe are incomplete. No matter how talented he is, it will be difficult for him to transcend and become an immortal. Someone from the great cosmos sneered. Everyone nodded. It was indeed so. Some people felt sad for Lu Ming. With such talent, if placed in a complete great cosmos, his achievements would be limitless. It was not impossible for another human monarch to appear. Unfortunately, the great cosmos was shattered, and the laws were incomplete. At most, he would only be able to transcend the immortal tribulation. It would be difficult for him to transcend and become an immortal. In such an environment, it would be useless even if his talent was 10 times stronger. How ridiculous! It's impossible for him to transcend the immortal tribulation. Once the crisis of origin is over, he will definitely die. People from the 8 clans of the Forbidden Zone spread the news. This matter caused a stir for a few days before it died down. This was because everyone's attention had shifted to another major event. A group of geniuses was about to start breaking through. Yes, most of the geniuses who had obtained the fortune on the sky trampling platform were ready to give it a try. However, the truth was cruel. Several geniuses who had tried at the beginning had failed and turned into ashes under the Great Crisis of Origin. The Great Crisis of Origin did not become violent again because of Lu Ming's breakthrough. It was similar to when Tian Chong had broken through, but it was still extremely difficult. Several geniuses who had broken through 4 times had their bodies and souls destroyed. This cast a shadow over everyone's hearts. Some geniuses who were about to break through had no choice but to stop, not daring to rashly break through. However, not everyone was frightened. There were still people who were very confident in themselves and believed that they were unparalleled. Even if their combat strength was inferior to others, they would not be inferior in other aspects and would definitely be able to break through. However, 7 or 8 people tried to break through in a row, but all of them died. None of them succeeded. There was even an existence who had broken through 5 times who had failed. The success rate of breaking through was shockingly low. This seemed to prove that Shi Tianting was extraordinary back then. Although Shi Tianting was the first to break through, the Great Crisis of Origin had not yet become violent and was not that powerful. However, one had to know that Shi Tianting had not obtained the fortune of the sky trampling platform. It could only be said that Shi Tianting's combat strength might not be as good as some people's, but he was definitely top-notch in other aspects. His physical body and soul, as well as his own willpower and so on. The continuous failure of many people finally made many people stop. The success rate of breaking through in the current environment was too low. It was simply a 9 out of 10 chance of survival. They were all peerless geniuses. Although breaking through under the Great Crisis of Origin would give them endless benefits, once they failed, there would be nothing. The price was too great. With their talent and potential, even if they did not break through under the Great Crisis of Origin, their achievements would still be shocking. Moreover, breaking through under the Great Crisis of Origin was just a kind of fortune. In the future, they might be able to obtain other fortunes that were even greater than this. They might not be inferior to those who broke through under the Great Crisis of Origin. However, not everyone was deterred. For example, people like the ancestral awakening Immortal Bone and divine Wuxia, who were more ambitious than the sky, did not want to fall behind others. They also believed that they would not be inferior to others. Since Lu Ming could succeed, they could too. Chapter 51:20. The atavistic Immortal Bone and Divine Peerless had coincidentally chosen to break through on the same day. This attracted the attention of the entire world. Everyone was paying attention, wanting to see if the two of them would succeed. In the battle on the heaven trampling platform, the two of them were experts second only to Lu Ming. It could even be said that they were not necessarily weaker than Lu Ming. They were just restrained. For example, although Divine Peerless had lost to Lu Ming, he had defeated the atavistic Immortal Bone. However, if the atavistic Immortal Bone faced Lu Ming would most likely not be his opponent. The two of them had failed partly due to luck. Therefore, everyone wanted to see if the two of them could succeed. On this day, the place where the two of them broke through was filled with a sea of people. The final result shocked the entire universe. The atavistic Immortal Bone had failed, and his soul had dissipated. He had completely died, but his body had not dissipated. The golden Immortal Bone had been preserved. This shocked everyone. If other people failed in their breakthroughs, nothing would be left. Their bodies and souls would be destroyed, and they would completely dissipate. However, the atavistic Immortal Bone's body had been perfectly preserved. This made people wonder if it really was the skeleton of an immortal. Moreover, the people of the Great Bone Cosmos solemnly collected the atavistic Immortal Bone's body. Some people said that the people of the Great Bone Cosmos would bring the Immortal Bone back and place it in a secret place of the cosmos to be nurtured. After countless years, the Immortal Bone might even give birth to a new intelligence, giving birth to a new peerless genius. This shocked many people of the cosmos. It turned out that the atavistic Immortal Bone could be used repeatedly. As long as it was not destroyed, it could repeatedly give birth to a peerless genius. The failure of the atavistic immortal bone made even more people turn their attention to Divine Peerless. Before long, news spread that Divine Peerless had succeeded, and he had broken through to reciprocity alive. He was the first genius to succeed after Lu Ming. However, after Divine Peerless succeeded, his cultivation was only at the peak of early reciprocity. He did not reach mid-reciprocity like Lu Ming. As for the grade of Divine Peerless origin root, outsiders did not know. They were all guessing whether it was mid-grade or high-grade. Divine Peerless success gave the others confidence. Afterwards, people tried to break through to reciprocity one after another. However, most of them failed and no one was able to succeed. Not even those who had broken through 5 times could succeed. Lu Ming did not pay attention to any of this. He went into seclusion after returning to the Azure Sacred Realm. He sorted out the storage rings and pouches he had obtained this time. His harvest was shocking. In addition to the number of origins he had killed previously, he now had a total of over 250. These were all creatures from the Forbidden Grounds. Each and every one of them had an source-grade weapon, and some of them even had more than one. In total, there were more than 400 source-grade divine weapons, and there was no lack of top-tier source-grade divine weapons. In addition, there were 8 complete sets of origin-grade joint attack formation carriers. These were all astonishing gains. If he brought these source-grade divine weapons back to the Heaven Destroyer, he would be able to arm the Heaven Destroyer to the teeth. Of course, this was only a part of the harvest. There were also precious materials, divine pills, source-level divine herbs, immortal crystals and immortal stones. What Lu Ming valued the most were still the soul-grade divine herbs and immortal crystals. These 2 things both contained origin imprints. Origin realm existences could directly absorb and refine them to increase their cultivation. Lu Ming's seclusion this time was mainly to refine the soul-grade divine herbs and immortal crystals to increase his cultivation. Although his progress was fast enough, reaching mid-reciprocity as soon as he broke through, he still felt that it was not enough. He needed to rise even faster. The universe was in chaos. Once the origin tribulation was over, the primitive universe would usher in a shocking storm. He was filled with a sense of crisis and urgency. He was still too weak. He did not have the time to cultivate slowly. He needed to rise quickly. Lu Ming waved his hand and dozens of immortal crystals exploded. Strands of special airflow appeared from the shattered crystals. They were like runes but also like the laws of order. These were origin imprints. Lu Ming opened his mouth and inhaled. These origin imprints were all sucked into Lu Ming's mouth. Then, he closed his eyes and began to comprehend. Lu Ming's body was shrouded in a layer of mist. The origin imprints in the immortal crystals and soul-grade divine herbs were not energy. They could not be absorbed and refined like energy. They needed to be comprehended. Yes, they needed to be comprehended. Only after comprehending could they be converted into origin energy and strengthen one's own origin energy. Therefore, everyone's conversion rate for immortal crystals and soul-grade divine herbs was different. For example, if an immortal crystal's origin imprint was divided into 10 parts, not everyone could absorb and refine all of it. Ordinary people could only absorb and refine 20%. That was because one needed to comprehend these origin imprints. The more one comprehended, the more one would be able to absorb. Comprehending 20% meant that one could only absorb 20%. Comprehending 30% meant that one could only absorb 30%. The rest would dissipate into the world. The higher one's talent, the higher one's comprehension ability, and the higher the conversion rate. Lu Ming's current comprehension ability was too terrifying. These origin imprints circulated in his body. After a period of time, they were converted into forbidden origin energy. Lu Ming's forbidden origin energy was getting stronger and stronger. Lu Ming estimated that the conversion rate had reached 80%. If this news were to spread, it would definitely scare countless creatures to death. One should know that the conversion rate for ordinary origin energy was only 20%. If one could reach 30%, one would be considered to be talented. If one could reach 40%, one would be a genius. If one could reach 50%, one would be a peerless monster. However, Lu Ming had reached 80%. This was already incredible. However, Lu Ming still sighed. He was a little dissatisfied because he had wasted 20%. He felt the pinch. Was it easy for him to obtain these resources? His heart was bleeding from the waste of 20%. If others knew what he was thinking, they would probably beat him to death. How could it be so infuriating? After a period of time, Lu Ming refined dozens of immortal crystals. Lu Ming felt that his cultivation level had improved a little. He had taken a small step forward on the foundation of the mid-stage of the source realm. He had only just reached mid-reciprocity. He was still very far away from late reciprocity. However, with his cultivation speed, Lu Ming believed that he would reach late reciprocity very soon. With a wave of his hand, several dozen more immortal crystals flew out before exploding. Lu Ming absorbed the origin imprints inside. Just like that, Lu Ming entered deep seclusion. He constantly absorbed and refined the immortal crystals and soul-grade divine herbs. Time passed quickly and 10 years passed. In the past 10 years, Lu Ming had refined all the immortal crystals and source-level divine herbs on him. Only then did he raise his cultivation level to the peak of the mid-reciprocity stage. He did not reach the late reciprocity stage as he had expected. There were not enough resources. The resources I've consumed are just too terrifying. Is this the price to pay for a high-level origin route? Lu Ming had a bitter expression on his face.